It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Titans mandatory minicamp continues today at St. Thomas Sports Park. You can hear from Coach Mike Vrabel and assorted players and coaches during the Buck Rising show today. Titans fans are happy to see and hear from Derrick Henry yesterday, who said he would be open to getting a new deal done with the team.
I mean, it's always good to get a promotion at your job. When you think so, you get a promotion. That's always good. But, yeah, man, I'm just trying to work through that. I mean, I'm currently still on a contract, and if that's what the future holds, then, yeah, I mean, that'd be great.
His current contract runs through next season. Major League Baseball, Braves 10, Nationals 4. Atlanta hit 5 home runs. The Braves have won 13 in a row. Stanley Cup Finals begin tonight. Game 1, Tampa Bay, Colorado face-off set for 7 o'clock. The Lightning are attempting to win the Cup for the 3rd straight season. For foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in. J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. It's the name of the program. All Four Seasons Garage Doors is the reason. It's how we're here. We appreciate them. Allfourseasonsgarages.com. It's already, past 80 degrees outside?
Last I checked this morning, 86% humidity, too.
Remember, the percentage of humidity is not as important as the dew point. Dew point's the key.
No, dew point right now, 72.
Yeah, that's anything over 70 is bad. Possibility of 78 or 79 over the next few days. I can't even begin to tell you what that actually is. It ain't good.
Other than stay hot. I mean, stay cool. Don't stay hot.
In short, here's how it's written at Nashville Severe Weather. I always have this chart to remind me of this when we get to the summer. 55 or under, pleasant. 56 to 60, comfortable. 61 to 65, sticky. They call it extra deodorant. It's white. 66 to 70, uncomfortable hairdo ruiner. 71 to 75, oppressive. I need gills to breathe. 76 plus, miserable. I'm moving. It is. Yeesh. I see what you're wearing.
Yeah, man. I'm a man of my word. I'm a man of my word, man. I put out there, I hit up Mike Golick Jr. I was like, hey, Junior, your team's playing against mine in the Super Regional. I feel good about my guys. You feel good about yours. Let's place a bet. I was going to try to do something public and embarrassing, but the first thing I said to Mike Golick Jr. was this: no mayo. And he said, you know me all too well, don't you?
Yeah, that's a good call on your part.
I said,
you
no.
would have been screwed on that.
And he couldn't think of anything. Shafe actually asked me later in the week. He was like, Mom, the bet, what you got? I was like, dang, I don't know. And I was just like, well, let me find something sensible. I win, you wear something orange, because people hate UT orange. They just don't like it. You know it when you see it. It's one of those things. I love it, though. And then I was like, if we lose, I'll buy something Notre Dame and wear it on air. So he would have had to have done the same thing. And here I am today, Wednesday, Motivational Wednesday. We need ink by the end of the show today, always. I'm paying off my debt by wearing something Notre Dame on air. So Mike Golick Jr., you'll see this later.
Can I be real?
Go ahead, man.
You're kind of wearing Notre Dame. It's not like, I wouldn't say you're decked out in it.
Nope.
Like, that's very muted.
Yep.
Well, but it's still prominent enough.
I'm not saying it's not paying off the bet. I'm saying I see what you're doing.
It's paying it off, but it definitely ain't going over the top with it.
Yeah.
You
didn't supersize that, man.
Hey.
But you are paying it off. You are.
I'm wearing another school colors right now.
I'm not.
You feel me?
I'm not saying, again, all I am saying is I see you.
And I got a meeting today after the show.
Right.
To discuss Tennessee stuff.
Right. But you've got something to change into. You're not wearing that there. Unless you're talking about you were paying off a bet. And you can use that as part of the pitch.
I'm wearing this there, Jay.
Hey, you should. It's part of the pitch.
I don't know how to feel about it, Jay. I really don't. In college, I beat them once. They beat me once, and now here I am doing this again. It's all good, man. I'll survive. I had to pay for it. That was the other part of the bet too. Well, you're buying something, so it was just like, okay, well, I'll spend some coins on it.
I kind of figured it might have to be a jersey situation. I thought that's what it probably would be either way.
He's so busy on the road though, dude. He's like, I don't know what he's doing as far as these like state signs that he's seeing, but he's on some weird roads around the United States. I'm like, I know you're doing a pod and you can set up anywhere, but who's driving this much with gas this high, Mike Golick? I know you can write it off, but dang.
That's probably your answer.
Yeah, he's really riding around the United States right now. So I'll take a picture of this and send it to him. It's all good.
It pays off the bet.
It pays off the bet. I could have went on forever and not did it, but I paid it off.
Well, there's no reason not to do. Or there's no reason to do that. It's not anything. It's just an article of clothing for a few hours.
Can you imagine if it was like mayonnaise?
That right there is where I would have.
You're not even a mayo fan.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it. Me and Andy are on the same level. Me and Andy Staples.
Yeah. Or just like eating like 10 boiled eggs or something like that. I had to like nix that early with him because he's the type to just want to go too far, and you know this. Or like buy caviar and eat it with crackers, like the entire like tub of caviar. Like that's more of his stilo. And I'm glad that he didn't really fashion up some kind of weird like payoff that I'd had to do, because I'd probably be a bad sport about that. Like chugging like olive oil, or it's some weird like drinking a gallon of milk. I'm not into that, man. It would have been bad. It would have been real bad. You ever did anything that weird, like eat like a bowl of Jell-O, like a gallon bowl of Jell-O or something?
I mean, not weird. I mean, we had food contests and stuff like some people did. I've told you before. I think I had 28 Fazoli's breadsticks when I was in high school. Had to sit down once, and it was Mr. Pibb that we drank with it.
Yeah.
And then of course we had like whatever the entree was, and for me it was cheese ravioli because it nearly always was.
Yeah.
But I lost. I had 28, but my friend was 30, and we did it after tennis practice, or after one, or maybe not even practice. It might have been a match, and I felt like trash for a couple of days.
Dang. You got to. I'll sometimes watch these competition eaters, man. There's this one guy on YouTube. His name is Badland Chugs.
I don't know
Jason.
that I want more on that.
My wife is so disgusted that I watch this crap. This dude, man, I've legitimately seen him go from like a heavy set man to like a large man.
This dude just did this.
He's drinking like 12 cans of like Mountain Dew heavy. Like not even zero.
Talk about the actual green.
Yeah. Or like the specialty.
Sticky icky dude.
Yeah, he's on Mountain Dew heavy, man. Or he's chugging like 2 big old jugs of like Hawaiian Punch. And I'll be honest with you, I am amazed that anybody can like ingest that amount of food or drink. It's usually all like drink or whatever, like a soda or water or juice or something like that. It blows my mind that this guy is, I'll be honest with you, that he's still around doing this. Like he'll finish like a Route 44 like soda in like 5 seconds. He's got like this big straw. It's weird, man.
The acid reflux.
Oh my gosh, Shape. And I don't know if I should be like disgusted or impressed.
It's a little of both.
And you see why I look every once in a while. Like it's weird, man. It's weird. But he's getting paid on views.
No.
While killing himself.
No.
No, baby.
Like full stop, Shave?
Full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop. Golly.
Trash.
Yeah. Yeah. Mountain Dew heavy. That's what we call it. Instead of Bud heavy.
There's also a meme going around about people talking about the Sprite at the McDonald's and how it's just
better.
I love the Sprite at McDonald's.
Yeah.
The Coke at McDonald's is the best stuff on earth.
But people are like, oh, that stuff's just so strong and so heavy and all that. And I went, really? Because Sprite at McDonald's is great.
Yeah.
McDonald's soda is heavier in terms of it feels more syrupy.
Yeah,
Does
But
it?
but in the right way. It's almost like a dessert. Like
love
the
the
beverages there,
McDonald's
from the Coke to the Sprite
Well, you
to
can't get the ice
high
cream
C
anyway.
orange lava burst. We've
Yeah.
had this discussion
Might as well have the
before.
Sprite since you can't have the ice cream.
Yeah. When do you get the ice? I don't even hear people talking about McDonald's ice cream anymore.
That's why that would be the one thing I would do sometimes, just stop and get a cone. One, it was cheap, but two, that ice cream is good.
That ice cream.
When you could get it, it's really
oh,
good.
Junior's already chimed in
I
saying you
know.
look fresh today.
Well, so he's
used to
good
be.
with it. So you pulled it off.
We used to be friends. He's talking about it looks so natural. I hate you, Joey.
Find God.
Yeah, for real. I hate this guy, but I love my friends. But yeah, that's a
And Golick Jr.
and Golick Jr. Yeah, and Golick Jr. Man. But yeah, that guy. It's impressive, Jay. On the commercial, we're gonna watch Badland Chugs for a spell.
I don't know that I
He-
need to do that.
He's got like this gallon boot, man. He called it Das Boot.
But
He'll fill it. He'll fill it with almost anything, Jay. Like I've seen this man just these like extravagant, like rare drinks, like a Pepsi Clear, and just drink the entire thing. Did you know that people can't drink? Some people can't drink water. Like there's a such thing as like thick water. Look it up. It's pretty wild. I never knew this was a thing, but people are born with a condition where they can't like ingest and drink water. So they got to drink like a special type. And I might be a little off in my description of that, but there's a such thing called thick water. And he chugged like a full gallon of it. It's like drinking aloe vera. That's what it is. And he said he almost died while drinking it, but I never knew this was a thing, Jay. Thick water with 2 C's at the end of it. That's how we're spelling everything. We say
yeah, no,
thick.
I thought we were going there.
Thick. I'll tell you who else looked thick yesterday. Apparently Derrick Henry looked really good, man.
Didn't look thick though.
He
Actually, looks a little
didn't
trimmed
look
down.
thick. Yeah, he was, but I'm just, emphasizing it. He looked really good yesterday from what we're hearing reports. A lot came out about him yesterday, man.
Yeah, I mean, he said he was feeling good, and they said he was feeling good.
Yeah. What? What?
Well, Jason just pooped all over the place.
No, it's just, dude, I get nothing from stuff like this. I think he's gonna be all right. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just like,
What, Jay? He said good, so he looked good.
Come on,
it's like
choose
it's just like
joy.
he said he looked good. That's awesome. He says he feels good. He wants to put the doubters to shame. All right, cool. They said he looked good. They said Tannehill's having a great offseason. They said this dude's doing great. What else they
We
gonna say?
need some midweek motivation, Jay. Clearly, we got to get my guy through. You got a 3-button shirt on today, a Nashville SC hat going on. What's going on with you today?
We all
Are
have
you all
meetings
jazzed
after the
up?
show today.
Oh, okay.
All
Yeah,
of
we
us.
have a meeting too.
Thought you had a hot date with Abby.
No,
Oh, okay.
not today. We have grills tonight. Grill
Is
dinner
that-
tonight.
Is that what we call it?
It's called Pelotoning.
No, it's called grilling meat.
What did we say last week? What was the name of it? God,
Moon taxi.
Moon Taxi.
I know what it was.
Why? Because you went home and said, "Hey, bring out the Moon Taxi, Abby."
Like I said, I'm glad he looks good. I want to see what he looks like in September.
Yeah. Oh man,
He'll
But
look great in September.
he'll look great in
Yeah,
September.
how
look
will he
great all
look?
season.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah,
He might.
there's a lot of good stuff that came out of camp yesterday, man.
I guess.
Apparently, Chiga Conquo.
Yeah, Chica
He's apparently gonna be
doing
a
great
guy.
stuff with his own teammates. 615-737-1045.
Such a Debbie today, man.
737-1045 is the telephone number. We'll talk about camp. I'm just having fun.
No,
Just having
I don't
fun.
want to talk anymore. I'm done.
Well, that's because you're wearing Notre Dame stuff. It's Jay Martin on 1045 The Zone.
Nice.
Hottest financing offer pack at Genesis Diamonds only through June 18th, which that's not long. You've heard me talk about this for a couple of weeks. We're talking 5 years, 0 interest financing, nothing down, practically everything in the showroom. So $3,000 item. Maybe it's an eternity band. It's $50 a month, $6,000 designer ring, pay just $100 a month. Buy now, put nothing down, spread your payments over 5 years with 0 interest. Don't wait. Again, only through June 18th. This is the time to upgrade those diamond stud earrings or get her a bigger diamond for that engagement ring. With interest rates going up everywhere else, this offer is more attractive than ever before. 5 years, 0% interest. You can even finance the sales tax. Again, save some money while doing something a little nice for yourself. Fine jewelry has never been more affordable at Genesis Diamonds on Improved Credit, Green Hills, and Cool Springs. Jay Martin, Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
It's the life.
3-day mini camp starting yesterday. Everybody talked. Everybody's ready to win a Super Bowl. And that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you'll hear most places, I would imagine, around the league.
Mm-hmm.
Malik Willis did good things. Chigakonkwo did good things.
Malik, the story behind, for the most part, well, it's been consistent that he has a rifle that doesn't know how to be dialed down a little bit.
Well, that's the Josh Allen thing.
Yeah.
Took a little time there, too. So, not saying he's going to be Josh Allen, but saying that's not unexpected for somebody with a big arm coming into the NFL to still have to work their way through that. Josh Malone apparently looked good yesterday.
Go Vols.
There you go.
Go Vols.
7 of 8 for Randy Bullock making kicks.
Yeah.
He made nothing. Well, no, he made a 51.
He made a 52 or 51. And
51,
missed
54.
Yeah, missed 54.
But
That's a good thing.
He's a 45 and in guy for the most part, but he made looks like a 46 and a 54.
That's good.
Or 51.
Because the year before, Titans had gone through issues. Well, the year before Big Randy. No, I am. Let me stop calling him Big Randy. Before Randy got here.
I'd say for the most part, people aren't nearly as concerned about the kicking this year as they were last year.
Yeah.
Just because, for the most part, Bullock performed above average.
Mm-hmm.
Is he Justin Tucker? No.
No. There's only one of him. There's only one Justin Tucker around here. But having that position kind of filled, Kearns should be back. He kind of, is it fair to say, need a little bit of a bounce back year too, considering where he was the year before?
Who?
Kern.
It wasn't a great year for him.
It
wasn't a great year for him last year. Yeah. He's getting older.
Yeah. But Mason Kinsey and Kyle, is it Phillips?
Kyle Phillips, yeah.
Or your kick returns, too. We kind of figured that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they drafted him, you heard how shifty he was out of UCLA, that he was going to be one of the options that kick returner. So that's
so is Haskins, I believe.
Haskins?
I'm not saying he's doing it. I'm saying that's
was what he does?
One of the values in drafting him is he can do everything on your special teams as well.
By the way, there was a compliment giving contest going on yesterday between Haskins and Henry.
Mm-hmm.
He was he was asked a question about how good Derrick Henry looked. He was like, man, that guy, he's huge, you know? And then Derrick Henry's post-game practice interviews, he was like, man, that guy's a beast. I'm like, okay, which one is which? Are we just going to continue to do this back and forth where both of y'all look that good? And if so, that's going to be a heck of a tandem if they decide to split carries with Derrick Henry a little bit more this year. You get a chance to kind of see Haskins a little bit. So that's actually pretty cool, man, having two big guys in the backfield the way they do right now, and one being specifically young. If he can be the guy that he was at Michigan, Jay, that could be very good for this Titans offense, man.
Yeah, definitely could.
Derrick, anyway. I'm excited to see what he's going to look at. I'll be real with you. I didn't see a whole lot of him to be like, yeah, he's going to have breakaway. All I've heard from Haskins is he's good. Everybody. One of my good friends was like, hey, that guy going to be a baller. I've watched a lot of him. I'm interested to see how that transitions over into the NFL. And not just that, what'll be his workload for this team, considering you got a guy like Derrick Henry that's already talking good about him. And everybody, I mean, he's 6'2", 220 at running back. That's a big human being, man. I'm not used to seeing running backs that big. Derrick Henry is an anomaly. And then you mess around and you see Adrian Peterson. How big was he? I never really looked to his size up. Was he over 6 foot?
Yeah.
He gotta be, right?
So.
I never looked up Adrian Peterson.
6'1".
He's 6'1". I just knew he was bigger than most running backs. When I think of running back size, I think of Ezekiel Elliott. You know, like Najee Harris, like those Josh Jacobs. That's running back size to me. I don't necessarily think of the tall guy. Derek and Hassan and friggin' Adrian Peterson that's rare. Who was Jacobs? Not Jacobs. Who was in Brandon Jacobs. Wasn't he over 6 foot also with the Giants?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he was.
He's a bigger guy.
It was a tall dude.
Mm-hmm. He's probably still trying to come back.
Remember
last year he was trying to come back?
Everybody's trying to come back. Old heads. I know they're getting paid a whole lot of cash, but it's time to let it go.
Traylon Burks wasn't out there. He was on the bike next to Jeff. That, of course, led to a bunch of consternation out there. We joked a few days ago,
Yeah.
and it wasn't really a joke. It was, I'm not putting him out there with asthma in this.
Hell no.
I don't have asthma, and I'm not going out in this.
I rode through the town yesterday. I had to go get something notarized yesterday, right? So I'm riding through Hendersonville, and I made a drive. I made a cut through the park, through Drake's Creek. Not a soul in sight, Jay.
Yeah, nobody's having anything with it. I put the sprinkler out yesterday to water the grass because it's parched right now.
Fried right now, ain't it?
But here's the thing. I've never seen this before. I'm sure it's happened, but I've never paid attention to it. I turn the sprinkler on 5 minutes later. The whole yard is steaming because steam is coming off the water before it even hits the ground. So it looks like it's an oven in my front yard while I'm trying to water the grass. Steam coming off the sprinkler water because of the heat that it encounters as soon as it leaves the sprinkler. It was not something I was anticipating seeing yesterday, but I wanted to make sure the house wasn't on fire.
Oh, my
And it turns out, no,
God.
it was the sprinkler and the steam rising off of it.
Just that hot yesterday. God, dog. And you know what else happened too? I'm sure if you'd have stayed out there a little bit longer, your grass would have rose up because it would have instantly just been perked by the water and the sun in there. It's funny watching it. Your grass is probably going to be significantly higher today because of that, because you watering it. But it's also finicky with water and grass too. Some people say do it in the sun. Some say don't do it in the sun. Like do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, look. This grass is burnt
I just
right
look at
now.
the grass and I'm just like, I don't want to lose the yard. So I'm going to do it at least every other day.
Yeah, you got to. And I got the water going on in our house, and I'm getting brown spots already. Like, if you walk on the grass, you can hear it almost crack a little bit. You know, like, if it was 4th of July, I would be banned from popping fireworks. And it wouldn't even be close. Like, that's how hot it is. But I drove through Drake's Creek yesterday, Jay, not a swing moving. Nobody getting any extra baseball work. Nobody was cutting grass. It was like Ghost City, and it should be. It really should be, Jay. It is hot out here, and it's still going to be this way for like another, 10 days or so, as far as we can see out. It might be longer, hell.
It's not going anywhere.
But to Traylon Burks, with him, I don't even want him out there. I don't even want the conversation about what his allergies are going to do. The best thing for him is what I read was he was actually spotted on a bike next to Big Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
And all I could think was he needed that. He needs to be next to a veteran that kind of tell him, look, young fella, you're going to be all right. I'm sure there was $1 million worth of game that they had in their conversation with one another. Look, I've been here before. Jeff came in with the ACL, right? He came in with the ACL. He had to deal with the idea that he got to work his way back into the fold. There's a long process in doing that. Now, again, this is something that's allergies. I don't know how to describe it in the sense that I think it really got to work itself out. At least with the ACL, look, I can work with weights. I can work with my flexibility. I can work with my motion as far as my knee goes. This is just something where he needed a young guy like Jeff. And I'm sure Big Jeff is that type of guy to just let him know, hey, man, it's going to be all right. Don't listen to the outside chatter. Don't buy into the idea that you need to rush yourself back out there because the best you is going to be when you're best available. And that's whenever they figure out what is going to be the methods as far as whether he got to take meds or whether he just got to get acclimated to this area. But with that being said, this has got to be a hard acclimation time of the year for a young guy that's dealing with allergies, that's dealing with this type of air and humidity and dust. Like driving into the city this morning, I'm looking at the skyline, and it almost looks as if it's raining because it's so thick outside, Jay. It's like, man, I'm so glad I'm not playing football right now.
I was looking up some different things about watering the lawn.
Yeah. Somebody tweeted us and said, watering in the middle of the day, that's where you really messed up.
No, that's incorrect. I'm actually looking at
I told you it's
misconceptions
one way or
1
the
to
other.
5
Yep.
at some expert websites and stuff like that. Misconception 3, best time to water my lawns after the sunset. The ideal time is right after the sun rises, but if you do it in the middle of the day, you may just have to do it a little bit longer because some of it may evaporate.
Yeah.
But doing it after the sun goes down is actually a myth. The reverse is true.
The reverse is true.
Mhm.
Wow.
Because in the morning, right after the sun rises, it's still cooler And the way the winds are usually not blowing and things of that nature, it doesn't evaporate the same way.
Wow. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So how long did you leave the water on yesterday?
About 30 minutes.
About 30 minutes, yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
You went out there and moved it around too?
I did what Dickens helped me with last year in terms of just giving me the DIY on exactly how long I should do it and how often I should do it. Now, last year we were actually, sodding and things like that earlier. So we were taking care of a couple of different things at one time, but there's a lot there. It's hot, and that's the point here. Grass
is any of your grass turning brown yet?
A slight bit. I don't have much of the brown patch problem right now.
Mine was there. Before my irrigation got turned on, mine was like crisp, like very crisp. I'll tell you what, though, my lemon trees are flourishing from it because they really thrive
that
off
just
of
makes
it.
everything better.
It does make it better, Jason. It really
I thought
does.
they were gone. I thought you lost them.
No, I lost part of the top of them because this wintertime was kind of brutal, and I lost part of the top of them. So I had to just trim that down to kind of let new leaves come through. Just figuring this stuff. Oh, actually, I got to give credit where credit. My wife trimmed it down. One tree took a hit up top, and the other one would be okay. So it's still just as long as it was last year. But yeah, Traylon doesn't need to be out right now.
No, I'm fine with it.
I thought about something yesterday when I was hearing the rumblings. Traylon's not outside. Traylon's not practicing. And I was just thinking to myself, well, who's to blame here if we are going to play that game? I know we got time, but if he doesn't turn out to be something because he has an allergy problem, are you mad at him? Or are you kind of upset with John Robinson? That was what I was thinking. Like, the thing is, people are kind of upset, but at who? Are you mad at the guy because it has a natural condition? Or are you mad at the guy that picked him? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's to blame?
Just so you know, two guys that have asthma that are currently playing in the NFL, Von Miller and Myles Garrett.
Figured.
They're doing okay.
They're fine.
They're doing okay. I saw John Glennon's article where he spoke at Sports Illustrated. We'll have David Boclair of SI a little bit later today, but John Glennon wrote and went and sat down with some anesthesiologists and just people that kind of know a little bit more about this kind of thing. And I think talked to some breathing experts, maybe one at Vanderbilt. I had it in front of me a little while ago. And they said they think he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
They believe one of the biggest things is that, look, in college and in high school, practices start in August.
Yeah.
So even, and this is what this guy's Dr. Peebles, I believe his name is. I want to get his actual
Mario.
No, not Mario Van.
Okay.
No, not him.
Nina.
Vanderbilt University professor of medicine Stokes Peebles, doctor who specializes in allergically mediated and virally induced lung inflammation. He explained what asthma is. He explained how the attacks come on, all that kind of stuff, and then talked about how Nashville is unique in terms of the pollen season, the ragweed, and everything that hits in the fall. But right now, pollen and then grass pollens and things like that. But Burks is not used to pushing his body in June. So even if he had some degree of asthma in high school and college, this from the article, he may not have been exerting himself to the same level at this time of year. So this is potentially just a new experience for his body. So it's a work in progress in terms of controlling his asthma. But they feel, and this gentleman feels optimistic. Said since he didn't have trouble at Arkansas, there's a good chance he won't have trouble with the Titans. If I had to bet, greatest predictor of future outcome is the past. So if he played every game at Arkansas during his final season, he was performing at a high level, then most likely he's never going to have problems when the NFL season starts.
When it kicks off. That's
you hope that's true. It says it shouldn't limit him long term. Many athletes live with asthma. You just got to properly manage it. Well, I think we know that.
If that's the case this time of the year, then he'll get a vet date every OTAs and minicamp, man. That's actually a luxury of his, and he don't even understand it just yet. But there's always just the acclimation. There's no reason to be upset is what I was really getting to. Like, so if you're going to be mad at Traylon for what he has naturally because it's a new environment, and again, he was fine in Arkansas.
Yeah, look, if we're having problems and he's not on the field and we're actually playing games, then maybe we can entertain a different discussion.
Yeah.
But not in June.
Not
in 111-degree heat.
I can't believe we're actually saying that.
Adrian's in Columbia. Adrian, what's up?
What's up, babe?
What's up? How's it going, man? How y'all doing this morning?
We're
Doing
good.
good.
How about you? Stay cool today.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm driving this truck. I'm in AC. I'm all cool. You know, hey, the
Yeah.
car got a roof today.
Yeah.
I just wanted to call and talk about Mason Kinsey real quick. I just want to say everybody keeps on talking about, like, you know, he's like if he could be like a poor man's Cooper Kupp, like he'll be good and everything. But the more I look at him, I haven't heard anybody ever compare him to Wes Welker, Amendola, and he kind of reminds me of them more than a Cooper Kupp, if anything. And I just feel as though if he could be anything remotely close to a Wes Welker, I feel like we got a real steal out of the draft.
Yeah, Kyle Phillips.
Look. Is he going to be compared to every great white wide receiver that's ever lived?
Yes.
Poor man's Cooper Kupp? Are you kidding?
Hell yeah.
The dude that couldn't get on the field last year? Is that what we're saying? He could be Wes Welker. He could be Danny Amendola. He could be Julian Edelman. He could be Cooper Kupp.
Well, I'd say this. You got to have something to judge them by or measure them by. Not necessarily those guys, but just in general. If he's shifty enough, like there are certain guys that, I think it's fair that Traylon got compared to A.J. Brown.
Well, I understand that.
But you got to think is that position. Well, I'll say this as how special those guys played in New England and in other places. You kind of say to yourself, we can get us one of those. Like it is a threat. It really is. So to hope for a type of player like that can be that shifty, move in space, and get you that type of production, I don't think it's wrong to kind of hope for that, Jay.
I'm not saying hope, but he's not those guys.
He's a guy.
Yeah.
So were they before they actually became a
You
name.
hope that's what
Dude,
he becomes.
Welker was great in Miami before he ever got to New England.
Guy. I don't see what other people are seeing here.
And
I
Mason,
don't see it. Yes. He's fine. He's a guy.
has he actually had an opportunity?
Yes, Mom.
A real season-long opportunity.
Has he earned one?
Well, see, those guys were on the back burner for a while too.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were.
I see what you're
They
doing.
were undrafted.
Moan, I get it.
Well, back burner being undrafted doesn't necessarily mean they didn't get on
They
the
had to
field.
go prove
quick.
themselves.
Welker was in Miami
It
early
also-
in his career. and
Also
was good.
goes to having a quarterback that believes in you and gets you the ball to let you develop too. I'll give him that. I ain't all the way out on that, Jay.
On what?
On the idea that they're looking for a type of wide receiver to have that type of production. As
I'm
far
not
as
saying
Welker,
they're not
as
looking
far
for it.
as
I'm
as
saying
far
he's
as-
not that guy.
Okay. Well, what about Kyle Phillips?
I don't know. Haven't seen Kyle Phillips
See what I'm
play.
saying? Like, if we're being real, Titans are going for a type.
Mm-hmm.
They see that aspect of it too. The two dudes that was working on kick returns were those two guys yesterday, Mason Kinsey and Kyle Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand it, is what I'm saying. And if you get that, this offense is way better.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is stop comparing him to a bunch of very, very talented wide receivers with great numbers and great stats because you're doing Mason Kinsey no favors because there's nothing to indicate he is that guy.
Say it's white wide receivers that are very shifty that play the slot. That's what he looks like.
I get that,
Yeah.
but he couldn't beat out anybody to get on the field last year. He barely made the roster last year.
But he did.
Stop it.
Mon, you're just playing devil's
Stop.
advocate at this
I'm-
point. I've heard
Stop.
what you say about Mason Kinsey.
Mason, I interviewed him last year. I think he's a solid dude. I think it'd
I'm
be
not
a
talking
good
about
pro.
him as a person.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good pro. It's all
What
about
does that mean?
I mean, if he actually has – see, this is the other part of this too. If they actually have a plan for the passing game, that's been my biggest thing, Shafe. And y'all know this. If there's an actual plan to develop a passing game to where you know in certain situations you're going to certain guy, there is, I feel to me, no method to the passing game other than play action. Now, if you have a drop back type of situation where guys can actually develop a route, where guys can actually get open, then we'll see what that look like. But this offense doesn't do it. Tim Kelly, I'm talking about got his foot in the middle of this offensive planning as far as the passing game goes. And we see that. What is this offense again? It is the running game. If there is an inkling of being able to drop back and let a play develop the way we see Tampa, the way we see Green Bay, the way we see Buffalo, the way we see Vegas, then you have the opportunity to go find a guy like that. What was the passing game usually? Drop back, play action, throw a slant across the middle, or go deep down the sideline. There's no room for a guy like Mason Kinsey or Kyle Phillips. That's all I'm saying. If you allow that to actually be born here, you might get a guy like that.
I certainly don't disagree with this.
And I'm not saying you're wrong in what you're saying.
I'm just like, what about Mason Kinsey tells you he's that guy?
I'll say this, and this is probably low-hanging, the fact that he stuck around. It's something attractive about it.
I think he's a good practice player.
Me? That may be what's attracting them to him. But you don't hang around for nothing.
And look, he might end up being punt returner. If he's a good punt returner, then he can find his way onto the roster that way.
I'll say this. I'd probably guess he need a little bit more than punt returner this year because they have a younger, cheaper guy. To that point about why stand on the fence for him? Why stand on the table for him? He need a little bit more than punt returner this year. He got to be an actual receiver this year.
And maybe he gets that chance to make one of those bottom roster spots this year because – there's not as much depth, the numbers in terms of how many wide receivers. There felt like there were 50 of them last year.
It was.
And all of them weren't going to make the team. And the training camp crushes were Kinsey and who was the running back?
Yeah.
That didn't end up making the team. Micah Sargent.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the two guys you couldn't stop hearing about.
Oh, Sargent. Wow. That's a blast from the past.
Exactly. It was only a year ago. 615-737-1045. Ben, we'll take your phone call on the other side of this break. I know you want to talk about Traylon. It's Jay Martin on 1045 The Zone.
As leaders in disaster cleanup and restoration, the pros at ServPro are prepared for anything, like when a relief valve on your water heater fails, pouring gallons of water into your finished basement, ServPro is prepared for it. Or when an electrical shortage in your office causes extensive smoke and water damage, ServPro is prepared for it. Or a musty odor indicates you might have a mold problem, ServPro is prepared for that too. You need a lot more than help sometimes cleaning up, and that's why ServPro is your one-stop shop when disaster strikes. Not only do they have the equipment and expertise to clean up damage from fire, water, or mold, but they also offer a variety of construction services ranging from drywall patching and document drying all the way to complete structure rebuilds. There's just one call you need to make to bring your home or business back as good as new and as soon as possible. So if you're in need of cleanup from fire, water, or any unpleasant event, ServPro is always ready to help. Call ServPro, an official downtown Nashville operators at 800-ServPro to see how we can help you get back to like it never even happened. The number is 800-ServPro. ServPro, cleaning, restoration, construction, franchise and independently owned and operated.
J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone with Gary Clark Jr. this morning. Let's go to Ben in D.C. Ben, what's up?
Morning, Ben.
Ben? All right, back on hold.
He been gone.
Let's see if he heard that, and he's back in 5, 4, 3. Ben in D.C.
What's up, fellas? My
Hey,
bad.
All good.
Hey, man, this Traylon Burks situation, man, I think it's a little layered for a couple of reasons. I don't think it's a big deal right now, and I don't think it's anybody to blame, really. I think when it's really important, it's going to be in the fall, and hopefully the pollen and all that has come down. What does concern me is I think the majority of Titans fans will agree that everything is going to come down to Tannehill, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to have everything going right around him, whether it's the tight ends, Derrick coming back. I actually think that we're in a better situation with the receivers with Woods and Julio, but that's a whole other story. But, I mean, I would love for him to be getting reps with Tannehill as much as possible. I don't want it to wait till training camp. I need them on the same page so week 1 against the Giants, we're clicking. You know what I mean? So that's what concerns me more than anything else. And as far as Mason Kinsey, man, listen, if he's on the roster coming out of training camp, Titans fans, we got a lot of problems. No disrespect to the man, but there's way too much talent on the roster for him to be making the team coming out of training camp. That's all I got.
That's kind of where I was going with it, Jay, as far as if he's the kick return, then he's not on the team.
Maybe he's a practice squad guy again, if
Kinsey,
that's the case.
If he's got time available, I think he does have vet time available. But the business side of it says that the young fella, Kyle Phillips, will make the roster probably because he can kick return and you can throw him in spells if necessary when it comes down to him playing in the slot. Heck, he might even be able to play outside, but I doubt that's going to be the case. I'll push back a little bit, Ben, by saying if Mason Kinsey does make the roster as a wide receiver, then he's probably done some good stuff. Now, that's not necessarily saying that this team is in a bad position because it's predominantly a running team anyway. It's just that maybe he's grown as a pro to kind of beat somebody out. The best thing you can have in your career is competition. And if he rises up to that competition this year and they actually use him, that's the thing to have him on rosters. Like, are you actually going to use him? And if he proves that he's worthy of getting more targets, he's worthy of getting more playing time, then that could be a better thing for this team.
615-737-1045 is the telephone number. We will have David Boclair in about 25 minutes. We'll ask him about Kinsey, and we'll talk to him about observations from camp and what he's seeing. And sure, the Traylon Burks thing is out there. As usual, we're shrugging our shoulders until it's the fall, and he's unavailable because of that issue specifically. Or there's all these question marks as to why. That's why I'm glad Rob Moore finally said something. Because now you actually know what's going on, and you can look at other people in the league that are succeeding despite that. Talk all about that. If you were looking for Warriors Celtics Game 6, that's tomorrow. Because, of course, it is. That way they can have Sunday night
Stanley Cup
if it
Finals
goes
also
to
tonight.
7.
Which game?
Game 1 of Stanley Cup Finals tonight.
Avs and Lightning.
Yeah, and you don't want
going
both
for
of
their
them
third in a row.
That's dynasty.
We're getting there, aren't we? Mm-hmm. And they were almost knocked out a few times in this postseason and came back both times.
Mm-hmm.
Did the job. 615-737-1045. J. Martin Ramon, hour 2, next on The Zone.
Life happens fast. Sometimes you can plan on when those life-changing moments are going to happen, but most of the time, you just don't know. Open Door can meet you wherever and whenever you need them. Did you just land that dream job that is moving you across the country? Or did you just have a new baby? So you're deciding to upsize and maybe it's time to downsize a little bit. So when life doors open, Open Door will handle the house. Open Door can help you avoid having to worry about finding transitional housing or paying a double mortgage. You can do what hundreds of thousands of people have already done. Request an offer through Open Door. Go to opendoor.com and enter your address. Tell them a little bit about your house, and you'll get an offer in minutes. Open Door looks at your house, the surrounding market, and gives you a real competitive offer. You don't have to make any repairs, do prep work, or schedule showings. You can choose the closing date and move on your schedule. Get a free offer on your home at opendoor.com/WGFX. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. Life is full of opportunities, so selling your house shouldn't keep you from them. Sell to Open Door. Again, it's opendoor.com/WGFX, and offer eligibility varies. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., license 02061130 in California, Open Door Brokerage, LLC, and his other markets.
7:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Titans mandatory minicamp continues today at St. Thomas Sports Park. You can hear from Coach Mike Vrabel and assorted players and coaches during the Buck Rising show today. Titans fans definitely happy to see and hear from the King, Derrick Henry, yesterday.
How long since it's been since I played? Foot good. Foot is good.
I was going to say, do you feel like you're pre-injury Derrick Henry in terms of the foot and so forth?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel real good.
So Derrick says he feels good. Braves defeated the Nationals 10-4 Atlanta. 5 home runs yesterday. The Braves have won 13 in a row. Stanley Cup Finals game 1 tonight. Tampa Bay at Colorado. Face-off set for 7 o'clock. This is turning into a dynasty, especially if they win the series. The Lightning attempting to win the Cup for the 3rd consecutive season. For Roy Foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5. The Zone.
What's happening now? Number 2 of the program. Jay Martin Ramon here, 104.5 The Zone. David Boclair, Sports Illustrated. Next segment. Ink at the end of the program. Inky Johnson with the Midweek Motivation. It's hot outside.
It's getting hot in here.
Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
I'm guessing that's a movie I don't know right there.
Boy, oh boy.
So you don't know what a TED Talk is?
I do know what a TED Talk, but I didn't hear anything Jason had to say.
He says it's hot outside.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for attending my TED Talk. Look underneath your seat for your free gift on the way out.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, there's a free gift?
Basically, I was saying that was my analysis.
Oh, okay. I
Thought it was
hot
outside.
Yeah,
you know, right now it's not as bad, but we're getting there. It feels 80 outside right now.
All I'm saying is usually we get like 3 days of this. It's actually a little bit more than that. Now.
Yeah.
Like it's all the way into next
I just hope
week.
it's not. I just hope it's not a setup for the entire summer. If we're dealing with this all summer long, that's going to be a disaster.
Hey, Moan, you got room, build a pool.
No, my neighbor.
I can't get to him, man. I'm not paying the gas to get over there.
Shout out to my neighbor Shad, baby. No, we share a pool.
Luckily, my mother and father-in-law have a pool.
You got to drive to it.
It's not that far.
Walk?
No.
Oh, okay.
So it's closer than Ramon is then, right?
It's probably about 7 miles.
No,
I can handle that.
It's closer than my neighbor's house, okay? Ramon doesn't have a pool. I am abusing, my kids are abusing their pool. So, hey, it is what it is. Would this weather make you consider getting a pool, Jay?
The maintenance, and I don't have a house. I don't have a backyard. Really.
You don't have property to do it.
No.
I've seen people sneak a pool in. Though.
No, you can't hear.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
If you
I could
actually,
do it.
You couldn't hear.
I got enough ground I could do an above ground pool.
For real?
Yeah.
And above ground?
Well, yeah. I mean, the cheaper one.
Yeah.
The hell kind of money you think I make?
Stop. Well, we
Too
got
much.
Well, he said too much. Jay
Money.
is full.
Better not be pocket
Evil Jay
watching
showed
around
up
here.
this morning, man. What happened last night, Jay? Tell us nothing.
Really? No, not really. We got her back. We got her back on schedule last night.
Evil Jay is in full effect this morning. Like it, almost. You can't wear button-ups in here anymore.
Why?
That's got to be the reason you're just off right now. Not off. You're just like, you will get nothing and like it. That's basically you right now.
No,
Yes, it is.
that's not me. Deshaun said,
And then we go into Deshaun. He said
Actually-
a lot yesterday.
yeah, he said a lot
He
yesterday.
did.
He's doubling and tripling and quadrupling down.
Yeah.
If he has to, he'll deny it 24 times.
There's 26 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 26.
It is.
I don't know if it's officially
No,
26.
24 is all I've seen so far, but they're coming more.
He okay. So what is he supposed to do in this situation?
At this point, or say
Deny-
nothing. I was thinking, look, if I knew I was guilty, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I've thought this for a while, especially after watching Michael Vick and his contrition after his situation. If I'm guilty, if I've done this, and you get to that moment, there's nothing more human and real and potentially narrative switching as bearing your soul.
Yep.
And just saying, look, guys, I did some stuff I'm not proud of. I have a sex addiction problem. I need to seek therapy. I need to step away. I abused my power in this moment, all this, because we saw all of this during Me Too, and some of that stuff is fabricated, but some of it was real. And doubling down doesn't work, because in a court of public opinion, for the most part, he's already been deemed guilty. I'm not saying you do this if you didn't do it. I'm not at all suggesting that. I'm saying if you know everything that's happening here, or the vast majority of it is true, you can win public opinion by saying, not only am I flawed, but guys, I screwed up, and I screwed up terribly. I don't know that you win then either, but I can tell you that every time you hear him speak now, I never did anything. I've said this from the beginning. Either this is one of the most unreal false accusation situations we've ever seen.
Ever, yeah.
Or some of this is accurate.
The one thing he continues to say is, I never force anything on anybody. That's the one thing he consistently said from the first time he spoke, proclaimed his innocence, is I ain't ever had to make anybody do anything. Now, the text threads is usually always going to be the telltale sign of something, right? Whether they acknowledge that, look, we can go further, or whether they got in the room and verbally, which then it becomes he said, she said, though, right? Which is one of his biggest, I guess is going to be his biggest defense against this, is she said this, I said that.
Speaking of what he said, let's listen to it real fast and we'll get back to Ramon's point.
Yeah.
I've been honest and I've been truthful about my stance, and that's, I never forced anyone, I never assaulted anyone. So that's what, I've been saying it from the beginning, and I'm going to continue to do that until all the facts come out on the legal side. I have to continue to just, go with the process with my legal team and the court of law.
Hey, I'll say this. He did a hell of a lot better job than his lawyer did. He did a whole lot better than what his lawyer did as far as speaking out and not saying too much.
Well, that's a low bar.
I know, but you got to admit that side of it. It's a sticky situation just really be in. A lot of things he said, too, yesterday was, his family got to deal with, his teammates got to continue to ask the question. He almost sounded like he was getting to a point of being fed up talking about it, but he can't do that either because the anger side comes out. If we're not talking about criminal just yet, then he cannot lay out a case for them to proceed criminally too. So if he said from the beginning, I've proclaimed my innocence, I never forced anybody, I never assaulted anybody, that's his case and he got to stand by it.
No, at this point, I'm with you on that, because he gets, at the end of this, he's got to be contrite, but
has to be.
But either you enter this being upfront and you try to, because here's my question.
Yeah.
If you're upfront, right? If you're upfront about this from day one, and maybe this is my naivete, having not had to deal with a proceeding and being on that side of it, certainly. Do you have 24 cases? If you aren't this vociferous and women out there have receipts in their own minds about what you did to them, do you even have to deal with 24 women at this point? Is it even half that much? Is it a lot less?
Yeah.
If from day one you're like, look, I did some things wrong. I want to make amends. I want to be a better person. All of those kinds of things. But what does that do?
That's also admitting guilt if that's the case too.
Right.
I know. And I don't. So again, the bigger picture in all of this, one is always the victims, but behind the victims is going to be the NFL and what they decide to do.
They need to make that decision
But it's almost like if you make it too soon, if he gets, let's even go. Let's say the NFL's like, look, we got enough. We're gonna do this. Let's give him 14 games. Is that even enough? To
No,
where
I don't
the
think so.
victims also, Jay, decide to pull back. And in those 14, 15 weeks that he's away, does he settle?
Oh, I don't think too many of them are going to pull back regardless
No,
of
I don't either.
suspension.
As far as more people coming out, or as far as them not wanting to pursue the civil cases?
Oh, they're going to keep going.
They're going to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care how long he
okay.
gets suspended.
Okay, so
It's
of
not
course,
about his career.
the
Why
biggest
would they,
thing
why
for
would
them.
they care how long he gets suspended?
So they're not currently paying a lawyer. The victims are. The accusers aren't paying a lawyer right now. It's basically he's doing it off credit for them, right?
I can't say that,
Yeah,
I
don't
would
know
think
for sure.
that.
but that may be the case.
So there's no money out of their pocket. The only person paying money right now is Deshaun as far as defending this. It's got to get to a point with him to where he's got to say, all right, man, look, guilty or not, I'll say this, and I've been told this before. Just because you settle doesn't mean that you're guilty,
Yeah, right.
right?
Yeah, I mean, you've talked about that before. And I get that. Some things you just need to make
Go away.
right. But in this case, it's way too late.
We're up against the break, but we definitely talk more about it. Are you into settling if
Right now,
it just
no.
makes it go? Deshaun, you still know?
Because you can't make this go away. Because we already know. If he settles, everybody knows he's guilty in their own minds, whether it's true or not.
That's tough.
David Boclair, we'll talk some Titans minicamp. We'll get back into this. It's Jay Martin on 104.5 The Zone. Are your appliances needing repairs? If so, Lee Company is here. They can help with that. From popular brands to elite labels, Lee Company offers expert home appliance troubleshooting, warranty work, repair services. You can depend on Lee Company for everything, but certainly in this case for on-time arrivals, for on-the-spot repair quotes from highly trained, certified, friendly technicians. They can help with all your major appliances, including the refrigerator, including the microwave, including the dishwasher, including the range, the freezer, the ice maker, the washing machine, the dryer. Let me go back and mention that freezer and ice maker again, considering the temperature out right now. You definitely want that stuff working so that if you've had to be outside, at the very least, you're going to get a beverage when you go back inside. Call Lee Company today, 615-567-1000. That's 567-1000, or go to leecompany.com to book an appliance service call today. J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. That music means it's time to go to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, where David Boclair, Sports Illustrated, is waiting. Bokey, good morning. How are you?
Fellas, I'm great. How about you?
Pretty good. So what are you observing? Before we get into specifics, what are you seeing that is noteworthy right now from our Tennessee Titans?
You know, one thing that's noteworthy to me is Austin Hooper at tight end, and you look at what's going on with that wide receiver group, and I guess related to this, there was one period yesterday where I saw Ryan Tannehill sort of eat the ball more time, like 3 or 4 times in a row, to where a couple of us even looked at one another and were like, is he just not throwing the ball this period? I mean, the wide receiver group is going to have some work to do, which to me, I just looks like Austin Hooper is going to have a big year. I remember back when Steve McNair, his first couple years as a starter, Jeff Fisher used to talk about how they preached to him, don't pass up one open guy to wait for another. And I think that's kind of going to be Tannehill's approach this year. Austin Hooper's going to be running those short to intermediate routes. He's going to be the first guy coming open, and especially you factor in the number of times Tannehill was sacked last year, the uncertainty he's got with his wide receivers right now. I think it's going to be, I'm just going to give the ball to the tight end. We're going to keep the chains moving, and let's get this thing going. So as I look at it from a fantasy football perspective, I guess I would tell people have Austin Hooper on your list there for your tight end.
So that's really interesting because I haven't really heard that anywhere else. Basically, you're saying Austin Hooper may have a huge year because he's going to have a huge year because of a lot of the uncertainty, the question marks, the chemistry, whatever it is that you want to talk about leading into this receiving core.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. In terms of the number of receptions on passes thrown by Ryan Tannehill, was it Nick Westbrook-Akina's probably the guy with the most among that group, right? Treylon Burks has none. Robert Woods has none. Racey McMath has next to nothing. Des Fitzpatrick has next to nothing. I mean, this is a group that Tannehill has no history with. I asked Ryan Tannehill yesterday, I said, do you sort of keep score in your mind with that group and say, hey, this guy's having a good day, maybe he's moving up the depth chart there a little bit, and he said that what he notices is when a guy makes a play for him, he'll be more inclined to maybe try and throw in a tighter window next time. So that's what he's trying to work out with these guys right now. He's trying to figure out who can I trust, and based on what I see, Hooper looks like a guy he can trust more than any of those wide receivers right now.
Wow, Bokey. One of the things I've noticed here is either you got a real strong running game with the Tennessee Titans, which you do have Derrick Henry. You also have Hassan Haskins. But if you don't have either one of those working for you, you're going to have a strong tight end game. You're going to have a Pro Bowl tight end, an all-pro guy. How are we consistently here, Bokey, when it comes down to it? I don't want to say it's the scouting department as far as front office goes with finding talent, developing it, but I know Robert Woods is coming off an injury. You got to develop with NWI. Kyle Phillips is a young guy. You got Josh Malone. Like, of that group, is there anybody that's giving you a bunch of optimism when it comes down to the wide receiver position? And I know, of course, Treylon Burks is out right now due to symptoms.
Yeah, Treylon Burks unavailable, to use Mike Vrabel's word yesterday. Didn't do anything in terms of the practice. Like you keep hearing about Kyle Phillips that he's a guy who really understands route running, really understands how to read the zones and find spots in them, but you don't see a ton of balls coming his way yet. Josh Malone had a good day yesterday. You go back to the tight ends. Chiga Okonkwo had a good day yesterday. Everybody, well, not everybody, but there are guys certainly that are having their moments. But I don't know that there's, as I look at it, there's anybody I'd say, okay, this guy is clearly going to be here on the depth chart. Or the one guy is, I go back to Nick Westbrook-Akina just because coaches trust him. Ryan Tannehill trusts him. He's never going to be a game breaker, but he's a guy who will block in the run game for this team. He can play all three wide receiver positions, so he's going to see the field a fair amount. And beyond that, beyond that, we'll have to see how Robert Woods' knee comes along. It looks good with Robert Woods, right? And it sounds good, but Taylor Lewan said the same sorts of things at this time last year. We all saw what happened in week 1 and week 2 with him. Bud Dupree said the same things at this time last year, and it looked good and it sounded good. But then even he said he pushed it a little too far, too fast. So it's medical science has come a long way with those reconstructive knee surgeries, but it's still kind of a long haul coming back from that. And I think I think the best of Robert Woods will be in the back half of this year, not the front half, which is going to make the early part of this season a real challenge for the passing game.
So if that's what you've seen so far as the wide receivers go, I know you don't know the game plan because I don't know the game plan. Heck, nobody knows the game plan as far as the Titans go this fall. But what was the addition of Tim Kelly if you wasn't going to invest much more into the passing game? You see where I'm going with that? Like, you made that step, but not actually adding the right additions that you needed to have a guy like Tim Kelly on staff. So what do we make of it?
Yeah, it's interesting because in a way – Tim Kelly feels a lot like the Jim Schwartz edition, right? Jim Schwartz last year, senior defensive assistant, whatnot. And basically what Jim Schwartz did was he coached the coaches, and Shane Bowen in particular. Schwartz with an extensive history as a coordinator, even as a head coach. He was sort of Shane Bowen's sounding board. Jim Schwartz has a lot more experience even than Mike Vrabel, right? So Schwartz was the guy Bowen went to, or they discussed things and, okay, have you thought about it from this perspective? Or maybe keep this in mind doing this. So when Tim Kelly is hired initially, you figured that was sort of the same thing with Todd Downing, who had 1 year as an offensive coordinator before last year, his first year as the Titans offensive coordinator. But then they give him the title passing game coordinator. So it clearly he's adding something to the playbook or to the passing scheme and whatnot. Exactly what that is, I don't know right now. I don't think you can say based on what we've seen or what we're going to see today. But I do think he's probably there for some of that. I mean, you look at just think about what we saw from Todd Downing last year, particularly the first 8 games. Derrick Henry ends up averaging 27 rushes per contest. It all felt like Downing thought, well, my best bet on every first down, every second down, whatever, is to give the ball to Derrick Henry, and then we all saw what happened. He ends up breaking the foot and what have you. So I think maybe what you're going to see from Tim Kelly is more of that. Hey, here's some things you can do to produce run-type play yards or possibilities where you're not pushing the ball down the field. It's not an all-or-nothing thing in the pass game. Here are some 4- and 5-yard gains that, if all goes well, can turn into bigger things for you. Maybe that's where it's going.
Are you surprised at all? David Boclair, Sports Illustrated, is with us here on J. Martin and Ramon. Are you surprised, Bokey, that Derrick Henry is at camp, considering his situation, considering the timing of him trying to get this money up front, which we can completely understand? I know how people are saying he looks at camp. I get all that. We're going to see how it plays out once we get to the season. But we were at least I was mildly surprised that he showed up, considering the contract situation.
I wasn't. I think he said it yesterday. He's still under contract. I don't think he's a guy who puts a lot of I don't think he puts as much time and effort into worrying about those things as others do. I think he likes, he talked about it yesterday too, how much he likes working out, how even when he was a kid, he'd go up to the high school and try to get in workouts or pickup games or whatever with people. He just doesn't like sitting still, and the workouts that lead into the practices and whatnot at this time of year. I think he likes that, and he is a good teammate. He's an interesting personality in terms of the media, but he's a different guy with his teammates. He's really funny. He's really loose. He likes to be around guys. He as much of a star as he is very much kind of a man of the people, I think, in that locker room. And so it's not a big deal for him in some ways. I think he's a guy who believes everything kind of takes care of itself. A lot of guys say that, but I think he believes it, and I think he knows it's important for him to be here at least this week, and just to say, yeah, boys, I'll be here in training camp. I'll be ready to go for the season, and here we are. He's still got plenty of money coming his way, and he probably understands too that this year is more important for his contract future than last year was, say.
Bokey, I feel like Christian Fulton's really kind of established himself here as a pro, especially last year, and you expect just more growth out of a guy like him. But on the other side, are we at a point, if you've seen enough, man, and if you can report it, where Caleb Farley is on the other side of him this fall, as far as the cornerbacks go? Because I think that's one of the more important positions that we're looking for. One of the middle linebacker positions, and also the other starting cornerback.
Yeah, that starting cornerback position is really, really interesting to me because, you drafted Caleb Farley in the first round last year for a reason, right? I mean, you drafted him to be a starting cornerback for this team and to be a starting cornerback for years. That's why you do that. That being said, Roger McCreary, I think, has made a really strong impression in the early going of this offseason, and as a second-round pick, you're expecting a lot from him as well. I ultimately think, if I'm a betting man, I would say that Roger McCreary is going to get more snaps at that position this year than Caleb Farley is. And I say that largely because Caleb Farley has played so little football in his career, almost no football the last 2 years. And I think while he is physically capable of producing some really big moments, and I think he will, I think he's also going to have some really bad moments just based on experience. And at that position, a bad moment can turn into a 50-yard touchdown really quickly. I think McCreary is in a position, based on having played a ton of football at Auburn the last couple of years, having matched up against NFL wide receivers almost every week, or NFL caliber wide receivers almost every week in the SEC. He's a guy, his play will be much more consistent, play to play, week to week, game to game. And coaches, Ramon, you know this as well as anybody, coaches don't like surprises. They want to know what they can count on when they send guys out on the field. And whereas McCreary might not be able to deliver the spectacular type of plays Farley will, I also think he has better experience to where he won't give up he won't have those disastrous moments that are a bad surprise for coaching staff.
So Bokey, to that point about McCreary, I don't remember where I heard this, but Derek Mason, former Vanderbilt coach who's DC at Auburn, was talking about McCreary, and I think it came out that he said basically what he said was he's a Dory Jackson without a Dory speed, without his game-changing speed. In effect, he said he's going to get you off the line and be physical, or you're going to blow past him down the field. Watching him, his physical attributes, things like that, I've heard a lot of nice stuff said about him over the last few weeks. I've heard Coach Mack say good stuff about him. What, as you're watching McCreary, how accurate, or if you've seen any of the tape, how accurate do you think that description is from Derek Mason?
Yeah, the thing that I've noticed about McCreary is that I don't notice him a lot. He's not the guy who's chasing the receiver with the ball in his hands, a yard and a half behind. It seems like his guy isn't catching the ball very often, or much at all, and that says to me that he's in the right spots in the defense. If it's man to man, he's in close enough proximity that the quarterback is looking elsewhere. He's never even when the guy does catch the ball, it's not like he's like, oh God, what happened there, or he's so far out of position. That's why I say I think he offers that opportunity for steady, really reliable, maybe not spectacular play in that secondary that when you've got you've got good players at the other three spots is going to be really important then, I think.
Bulky, can we say that if Caleb don't make a splash this year, then he may end up just being a role player, special teamer, especially if Roger McCurry and Christian Fulton are playing very well? I'm just looking at the idea of like we're looking at the idea of a first-round draft pick, that's probably going to be a role player, maybe a little bit less.
It could be if McCreary establishes himself as a guy who absolutely is an every down player, then you start figuring out what you do with Caleb Farley. And certainly even as a role player, I think you could design some interesting blitzes with him or do some things. Maybe you match him up against some of the bigger, faster tight ends in certain offenses and whatnot. Because let's face it, there's no question about his physical skills, and the other thing is, Farley's got to show he can stay healthy too. This is a guy who did not have a good injury history at Virginia Tech. He missed time in training camp last year, then hurt his shoulder right away at the start of the regular season, gets back, gets an opportunity to play and start, and blows out his knee. This is a guy who looks like he's maybe stretched a little too tight at times. So that's the other thing. Like, how much can you really count on him right now given his injury history? I think if he can make it through 17 games this year, then it's okay to reevaluate him and say, okay, is he a role player or is he a guy who, because of everything else, he absolutely has to start for us? So I wouldn't say this is an absolute make or break year for him, but from a play time and role standpoint, but it is a make or break year for him from a health standpoint, because if he breaks down again, has a major injury this year, then you have to say, we can't count on this guy. Let's just figure out what we can get out of him the next couple of years.
Good stuff, Bokey. We appreciate it. We're going to be talking about that. I'm sure about that. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you, Bokey.
Always fun, boys. Have a great day.
Indeed. That's that. I want to talk about more when we come back.
Yeah.
Jay Martin and Mo, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, if you're noticing doors and windows sticking, cracks in your bricks, bowing basement wall, chimney leaning, these could be foundation issues with your home. When it comes to foundation repair, nobody does it better than my good friends at United Structural Systems, here for over 25 years. Integrity and reputation off the charts, locally owned, not a franchise. If you look them up on the Better Business Bureau, you will see the A+ next to their name. They are problem solvers, not problem creators. What I mean by that is they're going to tell you what's going on. They're going to give you a free estimate, but they're not going to create something that's not there in order just to have a reason to fix something. They'll give you a free estimate. You get to make the call. They do the job. You pay. That's the last step. Sometimes they're going to tell you it's actually not what you think it is. We don't actually have to go that far with it. You're going to be satisfied. Over 23,000 customers can tell you you're going to be satisfied. Call United Structural Systems, 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275, or online at ussTN.com. United Structural Systems. J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Thanks to David Boclair for coming on talking about Titans minicamp. All right, the Caleb Farley comments that McCreary gets more snaps this year than Caleb Farley does, that Caleb might end up having to be a role player, that we're not sure, all of this kind of stuff. Now, we know it's question marks because he hadn't played a lot of ball, and that was something that Bokey had said and something we had said over the last year or so as well. If it turns out he's a role player, that's a bust.
That's tough.
Because you don't use first-round draft capital for a role player.
No, you do not. If this is the thing, too, about Caleb Farley. Now, again, I know he's had the injuries coming out of college, which you knew. And honestly, you take a chance on that, hoping for a high return on it. You just do. We even have Ryan Clark, if we ever revisit that conversation, talking about this guy has a lot of ability. It's like if you go get a guy like that and he gets healthy and has the ability to play his way into being a better pro, the upside is going to be tremendous. But Caleb Farley now seems to be a guy who is getting outplayed by a younger guy. And when that happens, there's really no looking back at that point. Christian Fulton's pretty much established himself, right? Mm-hmm. We can kind of say that. Mm-hmm. He's a starter in his league. If what we're hearing about Roger McCreary is he's a player, he can game. And you said, heck, Bokey kind of pushed back on the fact that his coach from Auburn, Derrick Mason, kind of said, look, he can get beat sometimes. Well, Bokey said he hadn't really seen him trailing behind receivers. If there's a catch made on him, he's Johnny on the spot to bring him down or two-hand touch at that point right there. I went back and revisited some stuff from last camp as far as Caleb Farley goes, his play. The one thing that we heard about Caleb that we're not hearing about Roger McCreary is this. This is training camp at this point, August 9th, 2021, from Coach Vrabel about Caleb Farley. He's just got a lot of work to do. He made a mistake or didn't do something great, kind of stood there laid on the ground, and I just said, that's not how we're going to do it. There are going to be a lot of mistakes that happen through the course of a game, but we're going to finish and we're going to find someone to cover or find somebody to tackle or finish the play. We're not hearing that about Roger McCreary. And again, you had a full calendar year, and I know you had rehab, but you're given the opportunity now, and you're not shining. It's almost like, man, sucks to be you, but here's a new guy. That's the one guy they told you not to worry about in the third round. Mm-hmm. And now he's making plays. Now he's the topic of conversation. I've heard Coach Mack say it on 3HL and on Buck and just other shows too. I heard him on Blaine and Mickey yesterday talking about Roger McCreary. That's all you want to talk about. And you know who we're not talking about is Caleb. You already had the black eye. You had the injuries. And then you had the ACL too.
Well, you had the injury and you had when he was on the field.
Yeah.
The little bit you saw him.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. He was not. And again, that P word potential is through the roof. But if you see this, Jay, we're hearing Bokey talk. What was your sentiment in hearing him talk about Caleb Farley?
My sentiment was that at least from Boclair's perspective, Caleb's not it.
As we stand here right now, he ain't it. And this is without pads.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity to kind of jump out there. Now, again, I know he's recovering from the ACL. And
he ain't it or he ain't it right now.
He ain't it right now. But, Shafe, if he ain't it right now and the new guy's kind of established himself like, hey, he's starting to talk to the vets on the field. When they go over to the sideline, he ain't doing special team stuff. He's with the veterans and talking to Christian. And what would that turn into?
Enough, the only thing that I'll say to that is we can make a much better judgment in mid-August. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's why I said as it stands.
Yes, as of right now. I understand
it could change. It could change, but I can say that the confidence level can't be particularly high.
No. It can't be. I'm agreeing with you. It can't be particularly high, and I'm looking at, of course, his own chat, and we're getting stuff to our Twitter account and stuff like that. That kind of says, well, here we go again. You can't miss on this many ones. Now I know the hit rate is about
1 in 4 for quarterbacks, and maybe at best
50%
and
on others.
That's probably not even true.
And it depends on who's pulling the percentage up or down. Because at this point, it seems like you're dropping the percentage down. as far as the Titans go in these first-round draft picks. Now, I know Traylon Burke's situation is a little bit different, but it can't make you feel easy.
Let's take Chris and Callie, and we'll react to whatever he says in a wide-open third hour where you can call in and chat. We're also going to talk about Mike Tannenbaum and the 33rd team ranking pass rush duos in the NFL and where the Titans find themselves in that list. Chris and Callie, what's up, Chris?
What's up, Chris?
Morning, fellas. Love the show. Called in a couple times. Want to talk about Caleb Farley. Sorry to make you backtrack, but I think we're looking at this a little wrong. Number one, I agree with you. Injury prone, that's a red flag. But I think we need to take a step back and realize how good the Titans secondary is and how hard it is to get a spot on that starting lineup. I mean, you go around position to position, extra wheelman in there, and every single one of them is a bona fide either starter or somebody who's proved themselves. And then second on that, if I remember correctly, Caleb Farley took the COVID year off, had some back surgeries, blew his knee out. I mean, dude hasn't played a lot of football. You're going to have, like Bravo was saying, you're going to have a lot to work on. That takes a year. He might still be a stud, but I'll hang up and listen. Love the show. Appreciate y'all guys.
All right, Chris, we'll react to what Chris said and talk more Titans with you in the third hour after the headlines. Jay Martin and Mo 104.5 The Zone. Hey, let me tell you real quick about my friend Michael Ramsey and his staff over at PAI Medical. If you're dealing with hair loss, you don't have to deal with it. It doesn't have to be the end of the story. Look, Virginia lost to a 16 seed, came back and won a national championship. We've seen it, right? We've seen things not pan out, and then we've seen championships that have come from that kind of thing. If hair loss has got you down, it doesn't have to keep you down forever. Surgical procedures are there, but advanced options that aren't surgical, that are, outpatient, walk in for 20 minutes a couple times a week and just sticking up some areas that you're a little bit concerned about. Go in, let them take some photos and tell you what they can do for you. Basically, they'll ask you, hey, what are your goals? What would you like to see happen here? And then they'll tell you through various techniques what it is they can do for you. How do I know? Because I did it. Did it last fall. My crown was thinning a little bit, dealt with hair loss in my family. So I just wanted to nip it in the bud because I had heard from people in this building and colleagues here at the Zone that they do a great job, and they have. I am overjoyed with where we are right now and where we're going in this gradual process. It's been fantastic. They are some of the best people you can possibly deal with. They are your answer. 615-376-6010. That's 376-6010. Call them, talk to them, or visit them online at wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com.
8 o'clock, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Titans mandatory minicamp continues today at St. Thomas Sports Park. You can hear from Coach Mike Vrabel and assorted players and coaches during the Buck Rising show. The Braves, they have now won 13 in a row, defeated the Nationals yesterday by a score of 10-4. Atlanta hit 5 home runs.
2-1, a deep drive to left field, back to the pole again. That is a fair ball. 3-run home run. Travis d'Arnaud goes deep again. 5-0 Braves.
And made it 10-4. Stanley Cup Finals Game 1 tonight. Tampa Bay at Colorado. Face-off at 7 o'clock. The Lightning attempting to win the Cup for the 3rd straight year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, J. Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. We are lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Halfway home on this Wednesday, Inky Johnson will join us at the end for Midweek Motivation. That'll cool us off before we walk outside and then need to talk to him again. Yeah. What's the temperature right now?
82.
82 feels 88. It's 8 a.m.
That ain't bad.
It's 8 a.m.
I forgot it was still early, Jay.
615-737-1045. Was there more on the Caleb before we do the pass rush duos?
Well, yeah, I wanted to kind of go back on the last caller's conversation about it.
Yeah.
You know, Boclair kind of brought this up when he came on with us. You know, he was like, yeah, he hasn't played ball a little bit in a while. It's like, which could also lead to the feast or famine idea. He was like, that's the one thing you're not seeing from Roger McCreary is the idea that, look, you don't hear his name. There's 2 positions you don't want to hear guys' names. That is offensive line, and that is the secondary.
Right.
The 2 positions you never want to hear your name called at, and that's a great thing for a young guy. He brought up the talent aspect of the secondary on the last call that we had, and I was just thinking to myself, well, we've heard a guy that's been at practice and viewed these guys as Christian Fulton's got one side because that's how we led off with the question, and it seems to be Roger McCreary is kind of taking on the other position without Caleb Farley being in the fold. Now, again, where Caleb's ACL is, we don't know. That's probably an aspect of it too. But even still, the fact that the young guy in this talented secondary is getting reps, is around the ball, is making plays. I heard Buster Screen. There's another name that's played well in that position too, the 12-year veteran. Mm-hmm. So you got to look at that and say, well, if it is that talented and you still got a young guy that's making a name for himself, that's got to be a great thing for him. It's also got to be a bad thing for a bad situation for your first rounder from a year ago. The health he can't help. I guess the back issues that came out last year, he was on the field some, even though Vrabel even acknowledged he ain't ready to play. I don't need him on the field. Even in the first preseason game, if you go back and look in early August, Vrabel simply didn't play him. He said he ain't ready. I remember it was one of those points where it was just like, well, you'll get somebody hurt if you don't know what you're doing, or you will embarrass us, and we don't need that for you, and we don't need that for us for sure. So if this secondary is as talented as you say it is, and you're not having the addition of Caleb, but you got Buster, you got Roger, you got Christian, you got Molden. We're not hearing anything else about those guys because they're out there making plays. The one guy in which you needed to shore up that secondary spot was a first rounder by the name of Caleb Farley. Mm-hmm. And the optics just ain't going to look good. At least when I started covering it, the 2020 first rounder, the
2020 first rounder makes the 2021 first rounder look worse.
And the 2022.
If it doesn't pan out, for sure.
You see what I'm – so it's – it's recidivism almost. Like, man, why do we got to keep going back to this? I want to be free. Let me go. Like, let us see this flourish. How come we can't be like Team X when it comes down to getting first rounders? Now, I know the learning curve is always going to be big, but the expectation is when you go get a first rounder that has this type of issue of injuries, you expect the payoff to be sooner than later.
Yeah, and I also think in first round, like you can do this in the NBA because you see, guys that are drafted from overseas that can't come over immediately and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's why you get the projects of projects, the stuff that Fran Fraschilla used to talk about. Then you'd have them come over and they turn into studs like a Luka or a Dirk or whoever it is through the years. Yep. And then there's a lot of dudes that don't pan out too because drafting is not easy.
It ain't.
But in the NFL, you don't draft projects in the first round.
No.
You just don't. And I think what is fair to say right now is he's a project as an NFL talent because he didn't play a bunch of football, because he's dealt with injuries. Some of this, a large part of this, has nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
It's not about how much he wants it and all this, because you can tell how much he wants it. You've heard that from day one. You've heard that when he's saying all this kind of stuff. This is not a question of effort. This is luck.
But it's
and timing and all of this. And just in the NFL, a first rounder is not a project. It's not we'll see what you are in 3 years because it's worth too much. The capital is worth too much. How do you know? Look at the kind of players that go for a first round draft pick.
Yep.
And these are like all pros that you oftentimes don't want to give up a first rounder in order to go get.
So to that point right there, at our Twitter account, Justin says this. I will say, and this is the other part of it because there is such a good job done by this front office. He says, I will say, I believe in J-Rob. I think he's done a great job. I don't know if he was trying to rhyme right there or not. But what does it usually say when you say something with but afterwards?
Well, you're about to, it depends. If you're saying no disrespect, you're about to disrespect somebody.
Yeah.
If you're waiting for the but.
So he gave all of that. He said, I think he's done a great job. However, can we just trade every first-round pick we have in future drafts? Dude crushes it rounds 2 through 6. First-round bust. I don't want to label him bust this soon. But it's kind of hard to fight out of injuries. It's kind of hard to get better at being a pro if you're on the sideline, if you're not fully healthy. You can't make the club in the tub. You know what I'm saying? The best way in order for you to get better, whether you're getting beat, whether you're a tick behind as far as development, like the best way to get better is through reps. The best ability is availability. He can have all ability that he wants, but if we can't see it, if we never see that 4-3 on the field, if we never see your physicality that they talk about, if we never see your range, how long you are on the field, if we never see all of that, then what use is it? You got to be available for us to be able to judge that and say, yeah, you're that guy. Right now, Roger McCreary is that guy. McCreary, short arms and all. We've heard nobody mention, man, this guy can't knock the ball out of anybody's hand. You remember that was the one knock they tried to bring up on him. Man, he's got short arms as a DB. It's early. It's just before the summertime hit.
If you missed David Boclair with us last hour, first off, you should podcast us or just listen to us live. You should do both.
Yeah.
But if you missed it, here is the relevant portion to what we're discussing as it relates to Caleb Farley as we had Bokey with us about a half hour ago.
Yeah.
I ultimately think, if I'm a betting man, I would say that Roger McCreary is going to get more snaps at that position this year than Caleb Farley is. And I say that largely because Caleb Farley has played so little football in his career, almost no football the last 2 years. And I think while he is physically capable of producing some really big moments, and I think he will, I think he's also going to have some really bad moments just based on experience. And at that position, a bad moment can turn into a 50-yard touchdown really quickly. I think McCreary is in a position, based on having played a ton of football at Auburn the last couple of years, having matched up against NFL wide receivers almost every week, or NFL caliber wide receivers almost every week in the SEC. He's a guy, his play will be much more consistent, play to play, week to week, game to game. And coaches, Ramon, you know this as well as anybody, coaches don't like surprises. They want to know what they can count on when they send guys out on the field. And whereas McCreary might not be able to deliver the spectacular type of plays Farley will, I also think he has better experience to where he won't give up the disastrous. He won't have those disastrous moments that are a bad surprise for coaching staff. So
consistency being the key. If you're not consistent, you can't be on the team.
No,
because you can't be trusted.
I can't trust
from down to down, and especially in crucial spots, you can't be. You can't be on the field. Now, as we said, first off, that was Boclair.
That was Boclair.
So that was a man's opinion.
And he's seen this too. Well,
and he's
that's
what
the other
he
place he's been at practice.
But remember Mike Keith?
Yeah.
About a month ago or so, talking about he was looking out his window at St. Thomas Sports Park, and he was blown away watching Caleb Farley. So we've heard both sides of this. The other thing is, it is still early, and I'm not saying he's a bust. I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying I'm concerned. And this year, he said he didn't think it was a make or break it year for Caleb this year. I don't know that I would go that far, because the longer you get without being able to showcase what you can do, the better a chance comes that somebody replaces you. We talked about this as it relates to Malik. It's the same thing as what happened to Mason Rudolph with Pittsburgh. Who's starting this year? It's not Mason Rudolph.
It's Mitch Trubisky.
But Mason Rudolph was supposed to be the heir apparent, right? He was the guy that was going to take over for Ben Roethlisberger. And as it got further and further along and you kept it going, somebody else walked in. Two guys walked in and took that guy's job. The same thing can happen here.
Who also, you ask anybody in Pittsburgh had a first-round grade on Mason Rudolph. Talent-wise.
Yeah.
So, again, if I never get to see you, whether it's the fact that you got a Hall of Famer playing in front of you or the fact that you're injured, it don't help your case to actually be on the field or justify you being around. Like you said, you're not out on him being
I'm not.
a bust.
All I'm saying is there is a stopwatch on this experiment, because he doesn't have unlimited time to become great.
What do people make the acronym for the NFL is what? NFL, not for long. Like, you're on the clock, whether injuries or whatever.
What's
like,
happening? What's happening behind the glass?
There's a freaking gnat that just keeps flying around my head.
I was wondering, like,
will you knock Buck Rising out of the studio?
A gnat
of that booth. Like, I've seen you doing that for like a half hour. That gnat must be hard to find.
No, I can't catch it. It's literally right in front of my face. It keeps flying into my face.
It's real simple. Just
yeah, I've been trying to do that.
So the same amount of time, Jay, as far as Goodell said, you're officially on the clock. As far as production goes, we got to kind of.
This year is the clock.
You're on the clock.
This year is the clock. We don't have Andy Rooney yet. No. Like, we're not at the end of 60 Minutes, but we're in the second. We're in the second feature piece. We're in the B block for sure right now when it goes to that. We'll take Bam and Casey's thoughts on Caleb after the break. 615-737-1045, and we'll do this pass rush duo topic as well. It's Jay Martin Ramon, 1045 The Zone. So you want to paint the living room, you want to have pets, you want to repair and upgrade things yourself. You don't have to submit a request that may never be answered. If it is, then they're going to tell you who you have to use, all of those things. Apartment living could be a little tough. You're worried about stuff being too loud, or you're hearing things that are too loud in the middle of the night. You're trying to find a parking spot. You're thinking about maintenance showing up at your home at any time. Renting can get old. It really can. And you're sending monthly payments to a landlord's pocketbook. You're not doing anything for your own equity. What if you were putting that money to work for you? It's time to start thinking about owning your own home. You got to have the right lender. You got to have somebody that's going to get you the right home loan, and that is Mortgage Investors Group, here to help you get what's right for you. Their team of mortgage experts cares. They're going to make sure you close on time. They're going to make sure the home buying goals come to fruition. They're going to structure that loan the right way. You can go to Zillow right now and you can look for yourself. Over 2,600 reviews, positive for Mortgage Investors Group. Go to the website and get everything you need to get started there at migonline.com. That's migonline.com. Or you can text 3 letters, MIG to 31399. That's MIG to 31399. That's how you get pre-qualified. You got to get pre-qualified before you ever start this process. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan, equal housing lender, license number 109111.
I ultimately think, if I'm a betting man, I would say that Roger McCreary is going to get more snaps at that position this year than Caleb Farley.
That was David Boclair with us last hour. Good reason to subscribe to J. Martin Ramon via your podcast catcher of choice. We'd appreciate that while you're there. Grab 3HL, Blaine and Mickey, and the Buck Rising Show as well. Get the full zone complement to your day. Catch it whenever you want, however you want. Let's go to Cousin Bam first this segment. Bam, what's up?
What up, Bam?
Yo, how's everybody doing? That's a great
Good.
song, that Lauryn Hill joint y'all playing. That's a vibe right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I really more so had a question. If Caleb ends up being a bust, do we really start looking at J-Rob different when it comes to these draft picks? Like, do we really kind of hold him a little bit more to the fire if Caleb, you know what I'm saying, doesn't produce or at all, or is if Roger has an awesome year and Caleb's still kind of like, he still needs work or has potential but not showing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now we got Isaiah, now we got, Caleb. And it's just like, I heard what you said before the break, Ramon, about are we going to start trading first rounds? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like, is he going to be on the hot seat, or how is this going to pan out when it comes to this? Because, like you said, 1 out of 4 produce, but if 2 of them that you got back-to-back end up being busts, all right. So that was I just wanted y'all to take on that.
Well, I think the people that already have hashtag #J-Rob We Trust are going to continue.
Yeah.
Just my feeling on it. And those that have been looking for a reason will continue to look for a reason. They'll point to Isaiah. They'll point to Caleb. They'll point to some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the job of a general manager, look, if the draft is going well, it's a genius.
Oh, yeah.
The draft's not, you want that guy out of there. It is difficult to do that gig. I will say I wanted Greg Newsome last year for this team.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people wanted Elijah Moore for this team, and I was in favor of that idea as well. This all comes down to Isaiah failing, having to then use some kind of capital on an offensive lineman last year as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing is just you have question marks about 3 consecutive first-rounders. We have a rookie this year who the only question mark is he's a rookie and we just don't know.
And the year before.
And
that's part of it too.
For sure. Yeah. Like everything that's led to Traylon is why Traylon's getting this.
Yeah.
Traylon's getting this because of the last 2 first-rounders and A.J. Brown.
Yep.
He's getting a whole kit and caboodle dropped on him right now. Caleb, we just don't know. But I was concerned because when we did see him, he didn't look ready for the field. And that's just not a first round scenario. But the Isaiah pick is the one, right? Because we talked about 2019 redraft they did at ESPN or whatever it was. Top 5, 2 of them were Titans.
Yep. Jeff was 4th, and he was 19th overall.
Jeff and AJ, of course, AJ's not here, but those 2 guys were drafted by Robinson. That was a hell of a draft.
It was.
One thing is, though, you can't get that trophy forever.
Nope.
You can't get the 2019 trophy. Like, that trophy's already on the shelf for J-Rob, as it should be. That whole draft was a knockout for the most part. Just a great draft for him. But it's 2022.
Yeah.
And now you want to see receipts again. And the one thing, and again, and you hear this at camp year after year, and I've said it before, I lament hearing about rookies at training camp because everybody's team, every draft pick is going to lead them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because fans, the hope that comes with new and the hope that comes from unknown and unfamiliar, you get excited about it. A new flavor of Mountain Dew comes out, you run out, you buy it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's a limited flavor that came out later because they had an original.
Yeah.
And then they added a code red. But then years later, now we're trying Flaming Hot, and now we're trying Berry, and now we're trying all this. Sometimes it's better.
Yeah.
Sometimes the original's better, Antonio Brown. Sometimes it's better with Ben Roethlisberger. Le'Veon, sometimes it's better where you were than where you're going. The new always feels exciting until you get there.
And I'll say this too. John Robinson's job is more than just a draft too. Vrabel's his guy, okay? The way this team performed, that goes credit to him, the way he constructed this team, the way he turns the bottom of the roster. You give him credit for all of these things. But just the highlight and how the production of the NFL draft is, though, too, this is also the other side. When you're in a position where you're drafting, let's say later in the mid, like 18 to 32, you got a good team. But these guys are also supposed to be your cheap, high-performance labor. Can we say that? Performers. Like Caleb Farley's supposed to be a first-rounder that comes in, and you ain't got to worry about corner for about 4 years until you feel for your optional. That way your cap stay low. That way you can go into free agency and get guys the way you need to. All of those things is a part of the job. The foundation of your first-rounders, though, is kind of rocky. They are your identity guys. They are your cog in the wheel. Look, we need these guys around. This is where I always ask the question of who are your culture builders? Who are your guys that you say, man, that guy right there? I think that's where I was with AJ. AJ is a guy. When you think about the Tennessee Titans, AJ Brown. Now it's Jeff. It's Derrick. It's Tannehill. Although an outsider, he is a Titan. So when you don't hit on those first rounders, well, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't saying trade away your first rounders, but it's at a point where we kind of side-eye what's going on now, you know? And the second rounders do their thing. Here's another third rounder, Roger McCreary. Look like he's going to be a guy, right? So it's
Casey's online too. Casey,
what's up, Casey?
What's up, guys? Yeah, I was going to agree with what Moan just said about the first rounder situation. I was about to say, if you're going to trade them away and do that, you need to be already at a certain point as far as having some stacked guys that are there. Like the way LA did it, I mean, they went and got guys, and then from that point on, they just kept building every year. So if you're going to do that, you're going to have to spend money every year, and every year you're going to have to be looking to get those big-name guys and making sure that they're going to be there and being able to play. So with my problem with Caleb Farley is, why are you drafting a first-round guy? I mean, I know he's got the talent, but it's like you're buying you're paying for a used car with the amount of money you would buy a new one for, in a sense. Because, I mean, I understand he's got the physical abilities and everything, but now you're going to be worried about, he's got a shoulder we got to worry about. Now he's got a knee we got to worry about. And then on top of that, he got, 2 or 3 back surgeries? So, I mean, I don't think you can really ever have just a full just confidence in the guy being on the field for a full year knowing he's got all these injuries. So, I mean, unless he comes out, like y'all said, and plays a full 17 at some point, like I said, it's a bust either way because, I mean, he's not been on the field really.
Look, if he's not on the field, he is a bust. I mean, that part is true.
I'll push back. I had this long argument with somebody about what's that, a bust. The expectation of what he's supposed to be, yeah. You can label it as a bust, like Clowney. I don't necessarily call him a bust. I'm like, well, the expectation of what we thought he was going to do
didn't live up to that. Overhyped
or underperformed, whatever you want to call it. But here he is, what?
I mean,
10
he's
years
not
in.
A bust. He just hasn't turned out to be Aaron Donald. He hasn't been Lawrence Taylor 2.0. Mario Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So underperformed. Didn't live up to expectations. It's simpler, I guess, if you want to call it bust. I'm trying to put frosting on an undone cake right here. Is basically what I'm doing.
Tyler says on Twitter, one word, Jeffrey Simmons.
That's 2 words.
Yeah, that's 2 words.
But to your point, you can't continue to live off of that.
Well, his point is that torn ACL, took a risk, also. So I think that because it worked with Jeff, you decided to do it too often.
Well, I would say
at times because you did it with Julio too.
Jeff plays in tight quarters.
Yeah,
this kid needs speed.
Yeah,
this kid needs to be healthy and have good flexibility of his knees, hips, and back. Also, Jeff's position is a little bit different, and Jeff also came in later that season, and you saw, oh yeah, we got something. You know, like Jeff made you say that. Nobody's saying that with Caleb right now.
No, they're not. That's right. Let's go to cousin Andrew, Portland. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, Andrew?
Hey, good morning, fellas. So I just had a thought about this, and I'm kind of nervous that J-Rob is not adapting when it comes to the way he's acquiring players in both the draft and trading. So 2019, he's chasing it. He had a great draft. That was the Jeffrey Simmons draft. He's trying to duplicate that by drafting injured players who have high ceilings in the first round. On top of it, look at the trade. Tannehill for a sixth, I think it was. And Tannehill was, one of the many reasons that we started winning the AFC South and being consistent, with Tannehill in that draft class. And now he's doing the same thing with veterans like Robert Woods, guys who got pushed down the depth chart with their current team and needed a change of scenery. So my fear is that J-Rob is not adapting his draft strategies, his trade strategies, et cetera. I know he built the team up to win the AFC South last year with 91 players and got the number 1 overall seed and all that good stuff. But at some point, when it comes to the core of your team, you've got to adapt. And I think it's time. If he doesn't, I'm nervous for the future of this team. So that's what I got, fellas.
Yeah,
It's fair.
understood.
It's fair.
And I think that's kind of where people are kind of at right now. It's still in J-Rob we trust. You said that, right? Like everybody's on social media saying it's still in J-Rob we trust, but like, man, we gotta fix this undercarriage of this car. It's a little rust underneath.
There's a waft of the undercarriage.
Yeah.
So we talked about this. I don't know that we did this on the show, but we talked about, all right, so the new stadium we believe will be here in 26.
Yeah.
Okay. I know those things need to be ironed out. Our official position is the stadium will be open in the fall of 26.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you want when that stadium opens, the banners outside the building, the ones on the side of the building, Malik, Traylon, you want those guys. We still believe this draft was all about the future. And to me, that also includes Burks. I'm looking at Burks being wide receiver 1 for Malik Willis in the future, not necessarily that he's going to go out there and have 1,500 yards like he's Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Or have an AJ like first year. Could he? Sure he could, but I think it's unfair to place that expectation on Traylon Burks for the first year. But that's ultimately what you want. I think that's what you want from first-round draft picks is be banner-worthy on the side of the stadium, current. Right. I'm not talking about, look, you're not displacing Mac 9 and Eddie George or anything like that. I'm talking about current banners of the current team. You want it to be Malik because you drafted the right quarterback for the future. You want it to be Traylon Burks because you have found a perfect weapon to complement Malik's skill set and to complement your development into more of a passing offense. You probably also want Hassan Haskins.
Yeah.
Because Derrick's 4 years from now, I don't think anybody sees that being him either being with the team or being in anywhere near the same kind of role 4 years from now. I think that's how you should try to view it is all these draft picks, all these young guys, who's going to be banner worthy when the new stadium opens in 26? And what do those banners represent?
Yeah.
Do they represent eking out the AFC South every year? Or do they represent playoff victories and maybe Super Bowl appearances?
Which, to my point of where Caleb's at, those first-round foundations, I would love for them to be a part of it, unless you're going to take that Rams approach, which I don't know if many teams are going to absolutely do that.
They don't have Kroenke's money.
As far as being able to spend in-pocket money as far as signing bonuses go. Yeah.
Noah here in Nashville. Noah, what's up?
What's up, Noah?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
I kind of disagree with how we're framing this Caleb Farley argument. I think it's a slow time in sports radio now. I gotta imagine, but I think we've got no new information about how this guy, where he's at as a player. I think if you look at Christian Fulton after his first year, we didn't think he was anything special, and especially at the cornerback position, I think you really gotta wait. Especially considering he hasn't played football in a while, and the fact that he only played the position at Virginia Tech for a year and a half. I think they drafted him knowing that he was going to be a project, and he's got that incredible athletic ability, but we just got to wait and see because we haven't seen him on the field since, week 4. But that's all I got.
I'm pushing back on all of that. 100%. One, slow sports, no sports, it's all sports. There's a guy directly covering your team in David Boclair that told you what he's seen from Roger McCreary and also Caleb Farley. There's also just tracking of everything that Caleb Farley has done. He come out, hadn't played ball in pretty much going on 3 years at this point. So it's that aspect of it. You mean to tell me a person can get better at playing football, baseball, basketball, heck, chess, if you don't write, Jason,
playing. Yeah.
if you don't write a lot.
If I don't write, I'm probably not going to
You're going to be a little off.
Be a little rusty a few weeks.
You leave your house for 3 years, Jason. You come back, you're going to be a little bit out of place.
Agreed.
Now, maybe I'm going too far on my with how I'm correlating this, but in order to get better at a sport, what do we hear about guys all the time? Sharpen your tools. Sharpen your tools. What does Derrick Henry say he like to do all the time? I like to go work out. I don't care if it's pickup basketball. I don't care what it is. I want to go work out. Jeffrey Simmons this entire offseason working out. If you don't have the ability to do that, and not just that, be in practice, going against physical bodies at getting better, you're not going to get better. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that ain't how sports or almost anything work.
No, that's right.
Wait and see.
How
that
long,
ain't how this business works.
That is not how it works.
Okay, go ahead. I ain't mean to cut you off.
No, I lost my point anyway. You were going to talk first in there, but
let me bring up this point. Derrick Henry got 2.5 years.
Yeah,
and then it was known he was on the trading block when
he wasn't a first rounder.
Well. I understand that, but he was also Derrick Henry, even though he wasn't
Heisman winner.
He was Heisman winner, Derrick Henry. So, just to play devil's advocate, that's the thing. Are you willing to take a redshirt year and another redshirt year on Caleb Farley? Because then, once you're 2 years in, now you're looking at, boy, you really got to have him pop, because then you're going to have to re-sign him again.
Like pop, Shafe. Like, he got to go out and be the guy. But then if Roger McCreary's out playing him and Christian Fulton's going until, at this time, be his fourth year and he's balling out, what room does he have? You got Elijah Molden also in the slot.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, let's you got Buster Screen on this roster right now. I give credit there as far as like what credit Armani's here. Like where's the room if he can't get on the field and outplay the young guy already?
Mm-hmm.
There's no room for him.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen guys that had played a lot the year before get cut simply because they see a younger guy.
No, that's absolutely right. And so I think my point just came back
to
me. My quick point as we go into the break. And I see Coach B, Steve, Jeremy, and Aaron. Man, we got plenty of time to take your calls, and we will. I promise you. So just hang with us. I feel like what you were saying about Boclair, what Boclair told us. It's just like we haven't seen anything else. All this information. We have no new information. So to that caller, I don't want to hear about how Derrick Henry looks at camp. I don't want to hear about what Kyle Phillips is doing. I don't want to hear about Austin Hooper looking good. I don't hear about any of the positive stuff if you're not willing to accept that there aren't some things out there that are particularly positive about Caleb Farley. If you don't want to listen to what Boclair said last hour, don't give me the other side of the argument because they're both irrelevant.
Yep.
615-737-1045. 737-1045. More of your phone calls on the other side. Jay Martin, Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Is the summertime heat causing you to lose your cool? I saw a meme, and y'all know this is very much a part of our culture these days, but I saw a guy on his knee praying to his AC unit, man. Just hoping and praying that it make it through this stretch of heat and just terror that's happening around us. So don't let a broken down or older HVAC unit keep you from being comfortable in your home. It's Ramon Foster also, and I have the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs, and they are Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer free service calls for their repairs, plus low monthly payments on those repairs. And if you do need a new unit at your house, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers 60 months no interest financing. Plus, they can provide the financing for qualifying purchases and free estimates on replacement systems. They also back their work with 10-year parts and labor warranties. So when summer is at its hottest, they are at their best. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, available anytime at springhillac.com.
I ultimately think, if I'm a betting man, I would say that Roger McCreary is going to get more snaps at that position this year than Caleb Farley is.
That was David Boclair with us last hour, and now we are discussing that. Jeremy, Aaron, Coach B, hang on. We'll get right to you. But it is Dad's Week here on 104.5 The Zone all week long. Chances to win tickets to events and concerts. You can take Dad to this summer in honor of hashtag Father's Day. Caller number 5 right now, 615-737-1045. Tickets to SummerSlam, July 30th at Nissan Stadium. We will all be there. Caller number 5 right now to 615-737-1045. Get your ducats to SummerSlam.
That's a good ticket right there.
It is. By the way, prediction, Cody Rhodes is going to win the Royal Rumble in January. He's out 9 months with that pec.
That'd be perfect.
You know what time that is? January. You heard it here first. Jeremy is on line 3. Jeremy, what's up?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning.
Ramon, you kind of pushed back on what that previous caller said before the break about, us like jumping the gun, so to speak. We're not jumping the gun at all. You're kind of looking at these things like investments in these guys. It's like you're investing a first-round pick in a guy that you have gotten zero to, basically no production out of in Farley. And we have so many of these guys like Isaiah Wilson, and then you can look even like a Dory Jackson. These guys were first-round picks, and the production that you've gotten, the rate of return has been, next to nothing. And then, but yet, we go down the line into like the 5th round when they drafted Tajay Sharp out of UMass. That pick for a 5th-round pick, it yielded production for a 5th-round pick as a receiver, and it's all these upfront guys that you have drafted and gotten nothing out of, that the expectations have got to be so much higher when you're drafting a first-round pick in order to, to push your team further into the future to be relevant. Because the longer we sit and wait like this, waiting, you're going to wait 2 and 3, 4 years for, to barely get what out of them, and the rest of the league is running, on all 8 cylinders, leaving the Titans behind. If I'm wrong, you guys let me know, but that's all I got. I'm always listening to the show. Talk to y'all later.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's fair. And I think it's that part too. Like, we call it what we want to. People always get up in arms. Well, you're paid millions of dollars to do this. And then, of course, we're trying to make an excuse because you don't want to hear the other side of it. Like, the other side of it is that can be out the window really fast if you don't produce. This is a production-based job. It just is. From the coaches, the GMs, only person safe in the organization is the owners and their kids, Jay. Unless you do something crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're forced to sell the team. Only person safe is the friggin' owners and the kids of their organization and investors. Like, that's it. Coaches, performance-based. GM, players especially. That's what we're seeing. So,
all true.
You only get time if you've done something dynamic for me. Derrick Henry, he got time to come back and start in the playoffs. Jeffrey Simmons, he'll get time if something goes.
Kevin Byard will get time.
Kevin Byard get time.
Harold now's probably he's entering that club. Bud got time because Bud already had equity from a year or 2 before.
Exactly. So that's where your time comes, not for rookies. I'm sorry, or young guys.
That's right. Aaron in Nashville. Aaron, what's up?
Not much, guys. I just want to preface this with the fact that I am a fan of football, and outside of one championship in fantasy, my resume would have gotten me fired. So the way I look at it is when you're thinking about coaches, GMs, and decisions they make, one thing somebody told me one time was these people have forgotten more about football than I will ever know. So as far as being a fan, it's my privilege to have an opinion, but that does not come along with a vote. The Titans have yet to call me and ask what they think or what I think they should do. And, drafting an injured Jeffrey Simmons, that seemed to work out pretty well, but it's not something most people would have ever thought about to do as far as the general public. So the way I look at it is just enjoy it. Things are going to happen. And until they start calling you and asking you what you think they should do, just let it ride, man.
All right, Aaron. I don't know what you're saying, man. Like, yeah, you're a fan. You don't have a privilege to have an opinion. You just have an opinion.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to have an opinion. Even if we disagree with it and or totally agree with it, you have every right. You're an investor in the team. Because you're buying their merch. You're buying tickets.
You're watching
You're investing your time, which is maybe more precious than all of those things. I don't know what that call was.
What's the biggest deals that are happening right now? TV.
Yeah. I don't know what I don't know what that
You
call
are
was.
invested in the league. At least that deal is a part of why they're getting this much money. I don't know. Maybe he's just saying be cool. We shouldn't discuss it, but we will.
Yeah, I mean, that's right.
I'm sorry, Aaron.
Yeah, but Aaron, we're going to keep on talking about it, and you can too.
You can say
Fourth hour of the show is coming up next. Coach B, you hang on. We'll get to you right off the top
rope.
At 615-737-1045 is the telephone number. Mark Colbert of the Borough headed to SummerSlam as part of Dad's Week. Congrats to Mark. That'll be a fun trip. It's Jay Martin Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Jay, with home prices on the rise, like I know interest rates are up a little bit, but people are still buying them because there's not a whole lot of houses out here for people to buy. I didn't really know that. But I'm here to tell you there's no better time to improve the look of your current home or the value of it with new windows from Window Nation, where you can get 2 free windows with every 2 that you buy, plus pay nothing for 2 full years.
I'm just going to give you one quick scenario. There's nothing worse, especially when it's hot, when you look at your thermostat and you see the temperature in the house is 77, but you have it set on 72.
Oh.
Why is that? Is something wrong with your HVAC? I mean, maybe. But if your windows aren't sealed properly and they're drafty, then a lot of the AC that you're pumping out and spending money on is going right out those windows, and it's not cooling your home properly. That's an issue.
Yeah, it is.
And you can fix it by fixing the windows. 2 free windows every 2 you buy. No down payment, no payments, no interest for 2 full years at our friends Window Nation. Again, 2 free windows every 2 you buy. No down payment, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. You'll save thousands. Savings you will only see once this year. You can call them. Where can you call them, Mom?
Man, you can call them at 866-90-NATION.
Again?
866-90-NATION.
Or go online, get all the information you need at windownation.com.
9 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Titans mandatory minicamp continues today at St. Thomas Sports Park. You can hear from Coach Mike Vrabel and assorted players and coaches during the Buck Rising Show. The Braves have now won 13 in a row. Atlanta defeated Washington yesterday by a score of 10-4. The Bravos hit 5 home runs.
Swung on, hit high and deep to left field. I think we just gave away some more money. Orlando Arcia, why don't you have a night coming into play for Ozzie Albies? That's out of here. Home run.
I'll take some of that money if they're offering it up. Stanley Cup Finals Game 1, Tampa Bay at Colorado tonight. Face-off for that is at 7 o'clock. The Lightning are attempting to win the Cup for the 3rd straight year. That would be a dynasty. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, man, it's our privilege to have an opinion for 4 hours a day. Jay Martin or Moan, 104.5 The Zone. Just kidding. Sort of, Aaron. Slay called him Fix It Felix. That's pretty funny. He sounds like Jack McBrayer from 30 Rock.
I just saw that.
Which is the same thing. Because Fix It Felix basically is Jack McBrayer's 30 Rock character.
Is that who he is? Yeah. Is that the voice? Yeah. He always speaks like that. He did that in Talladega Nights, too.
That's just who it is. Mama. Ramon Foster Johnson, Schaefer, I'm Jason Martin.
That's good.
So many times today, Schaefer's gotten close to the microphone and he's about to speak, and then he moves back away from it.
No, I'm good.
He's double
dutching us. A lot of false
today.
starts here.
Nah, I think you need to read the field better and not throw so many interceptions.
We weren't even talking of it. It's been 0 days.
Just saying.
And we're back.
You got to look off the receiver.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
He said just don't look at him and just continue to drive the ball down the field.
Like Deshaun, deny.
Wow. It wasn't even part of the
We don't have time for that, man.
Okay. It's Drive by Wednesday.
Coach B. What's up, Coach B?
What's up, Coach B?
Hey, what's cracking, fellas?
Not much. Good morning.
Three questions real quick. One, did you guys watch The Good Boys yet? I'm waiting on the reply for that.
No,
not yet.
Not yet. The Good
Okay.
Boys. Oh,
Now, two, I'm wondering why the Titans draft picks fail the way they do. Is it because the guys they draft just aren't good or don't fit, or is it an aspect of coaching? They're not coaching them up the way they're supposed to. That's two. And then three, the receiver situation you guys was talking about. What's up with is Corey Fuller still available? And if he is, how would he fit into the Titans offense if they got him?
Okay.
I'll go to that second one first. Why aren't guys developing? I mean, we saw Andrew Wiggins, right? That was our topic of the conversation on Monday when discussing him.
I think he's talking about Will Fuller. Was he talking about Will Fuller? Or
Will Fuller. Yeah, Will Fuller. Yeah. Will Fuller. Corey Fuller. No.
He played like 30 years ago.
He's 51 years old. Will Fuller. As far as when guys get in the building, like I ended up talking to, and I'll just reference this because this helps this point. I talked to Steelers GM about, guys that you end up drafting and how that process goes and, do you take credit for it? He was like, man, you know what? He said, I can't take credit for it. He's like, because my job is to recognize the talent. He's like, when you talk about guys going into the Hall of Fame or they have all-pro and Pro Bowl seasons, he was like, that's on the individual. Mm-hmm. That goes down to the amount of work that they put in. So I can't take credit for the amount of work that they're putting in. He was like, whatever you do when you get in the building, that's on you. We're watching a guy, let's say Ryan Tannehill. Like, they can take credit for recognizing, like John Robinson can take credit for recognizing that Tannehill had something in him. But when he got here to Tennessee, that's where he flourished at. The same thing can go for Derrick. You knew Derrick had it, but it was on him to really tap in and go to that destination. Like, John Robinson ain't helped Big Jeff lift, squat, go get sacks. He's done none of that. That is the talent. And I'll say this, more times than not, guys want it. It's a factor of injuries, which Caleb has kind of dealt with a little bit. It's a factor of trying to prove that you can be out there and make plays, which he hasn't done. And again, I know his biggest detriment he has going against him. The biggest thing is he can't be on the field. He hasn't been on the field. It's one of those situations. So in this business, there's no room for that. It's almost typing in, can you go get a loan, Jay? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's how much am I worth? Well, you typed it in the computer, they'll tell you, look, you're worth this much. Well, I want to go buy this $6 million house. Well, sir, you only qualify for two.
Pre-qualified for, right.
Yeah. And that's just where it is. Like with sports, they look at what you've done, unless you've been in this league for a little while and established enough stock in the emotional banks of the coaches, the front office, to where you're allowed to stay around. And if Caleb doesn't get to this point, I saw somebody say that, and I hate to use red shirt, but it said, if he gets 2 red shirt years, then I start to worry a little bit. And I think that's a fair assessment because you have a guy waiting right behind you for that same opportunity. And you want to tell me I'm going to wait on this guy from 2021 when this dude is chomping at the bit to prove to me that he can go play and possibly can? No, you can't. Will Fuller signing, Jay? Where is he at? He's still a free agent?
Yeah.
Is he? He's not
hurt all the time.
He is too.
All the time.
He is too.
He's only 28, and you love his speed.
Yeah.
He's one of those kind of guys when it comes to take the top off the defense receivers. But he ain't taking the top off of much if he can't get on the field.
No.
That's one of the biggest concerns with Fuller. And my guess is he would have a job.
It would.
If that wasn't a massive concern for a lot of these people.
Development falls on the individual for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, what is a general manager's job ultimately? To all of what you just said, Mom, what I would say is general manager's job primarily is to put a puzzle together.
Yep.
And within that puzzle, they're not pieces, they're opportunities.
Yep.
What John Robinson does is provide and or remove opportunities to be a member of the Tennessee Titans. That's all it is. He gives you a spot at the table.
Yep.
What you do with the food, the conversations that you have, the relationships that you build, all that's out of his hands once you get there. Now, it doesn't mean that he should have given every opportunity and or removed every opportunity along the way. But I think brass tacks, that's what a general manager has to do.
Yep.
It's about the opportunity. What you do with it then falls on the person whose opportunity it is.
And so I won't necessarily charge the coaches when we're talking about Caleb and his situation. I say he does have to get healthy. But when given an opportunity, he got to go. To say that coaches don't want a guy to succeed, I kind of saw an article this past weekend. It was on Jamarcus Russell. He was just saying ownership wanted him, but the coaches didn't. Like, if it's an egregious situation like that, now, again, I do believe there's two sides to every story, too. We got his side. I love to know his position coach, which he said was the breaking point for him. I think when he cussed out the coach, choked him out or did something, then he was released in 2009. He did this article in the Players Tribune. Kind of gave his side of it. I do know this, depending on no matter who the player is, coaches want to coach. They do. I think if you ask Coach Vrabel, would you rather do these press conferences or would you just rather go to practice, go back to your office in the meeting room? I think we see his style is he don't want to do press conferences. All he want to do is manage his team and coach. If that guy or any guy in that building went into their position coach room and said, hey, I need help with this, this, and this, they're going to get all the assistance that they need. And it's on them to actually ingest all of that and show it on the practice field and game field too. It ain't all coaches. Now, if there is a bad coach here or there, they'll either be fired, outed, or you'll have players talking about them like that guy sucked. I had a couple coaches that were bad, but you know what you do sometimes? Coaches, you got to overcome coaching. You know, like sometimes you might have a bad boss at your job. Okay? You got to overcome that if the talent is better than what you're actually given the task. You know what I'm saying? So,
look, there've been a lot of stars that have flourished or have shown that they were stars in bad situations.
Yes.
And then they get moved to good situations and they win Super Bowls, like Matthew Stafford just said. Matthew Stafford didn't have a bunch of terrible coaches, don't get me wrong. I mean, he had Caldwell. He had guys that weren't bad.
No.
But the way that organization was run was never going to benefit him as it related to his legacy and winning Super Bowls and all of those things. So he went to the Rams, and things changed. I do think a great coach can help unlock you in a way. Like Sean McDermott for Josh Allen, Ken Dorsey, the quarterback coach, Brian Dable, who's now a head coach in the league. Like, things like that can happen. And at the same time, I do think bad coaches can shut you down to what you're 100% can be, because everything else around it is screwed up. But if you got talent, it's going to rise to the top.
Oh, okay, let's look at two situations.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Let's Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr. I mean, the talent was there, but Steve Kerr kind of understood who they were, how they needed to play. Was it Spoelstra in Miami? Like, let's give a whole lot of credit to those two guys as far as talent, having the ability to flourish because of coaches.
Look at Udoka. I mean, Udoka's got Boston in the finals. And what did they say about Udoka? This is his first year. What did they say about him before the season and when they went on like an 8-week stretch where they were bad?
Yeah.
He's coaching them hard.
Yeah.
Hard, and they're not feeling it. They don't like the intensity level and all this. Well, where are they right now?
In the finals.
They're down 3-2. But they're in the finals. And until 5 minutes ago, a lot of people had jumped off the Warriors and said they were the best team. They were going to win the championship and all this. And a lot of that goes to Udoka pushing them because he figured out, look, if we're going to get where we need to go with this group, we've got to go in this direction, and we have to do it this way. And by the way, to Vrabel's credit, he's similar in that regard. What was the thing about Munchak? Too nice a guy.
Yeah.
Malarkey won here, but he was too nice a guy.
Right.
You can't be on the other side and be Wisenhunt and suck and be a jackwagon. But Mike Vrabel is just enough of a jerk when it comes to the way he coaches and the way he handles the organization, but he's got the receipts to back it up so far.
Yes, he does, man. And so, a good bit of this fall on the guy.
Yeah, it has to. Dan. What's up, Dan?
What's up, Dan?
Hey guys, thanks for taking the call. Good morning to you.
Morning.
So I don't want to lay all this at the feet of the GM or at the front office, but like you said, a lot of this does come down to the individual with work ethic, being able to be available as well. But it seems like Robinson and the rest of the front office are putting too much of a premium on that talent and possibly overlooking the importance of availability with injury history, work ethic, and maybe any character concerns, as we've seen with some pretty recent first-round picks that are no longer on the team. So that kind of leads me to the question of, and being a new Nashvilleian, I'm not 100% tapped in, but the relationship between Vrabel and Robinson. Is Vrabel basically, do you think he's saying to Robinson, draft whoever the best player is for that position, and I'll take care of the culture situation and I'll take care of the player? Or do you think that's more of an independent move on Robinson's part, just to try to say, look, I took the best player, and that's no longer a fault of mine if they don't pan out here?
Wow.
I'll hang up and listen.
That's a tough question right there, Jay.
It is.
I love to hear what Buck got to say as far as that, since he's closer to those two. Yeah, we'll get to
talk about it after the break.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
on who's picking who.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We'll come back. We'll talk more. 615-737-1045. Jay Martin Ramon, 1045 The Zone.
Father's Day coming up this Sunday, and 104.5 The Zone has teamed up with That Legendary Play for the perfect gift for the sports fanatic in your life. That Legendary Play features one-of-a-kind prints from legendary plays by all your favorite teams and players. Listen to 104.5 The Zone for your chance to win, Dad, a one-of-a-kind print from That Legendary Play. Now, see the collection at thatlegendaryplay.com, and between now and Father's Day, buy one, get the second one 25% off with code LegendaryDad. That's code LegendaryDad. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Mr. Foster, reset the question that was asked before the break.
So the question that was asked or brought to us was, it's a guy, I forget his name, I called a second ago, I forget his name, but he said he's a newbie to Nashville. He's trying to learn the culture of the Titans, and the question was presented to us was, as far as this team goes, who's making the picks? Is it Vrabel that says, I want my guy and I'll make him work because I can make it work? And because of that, is it a flawed system as far as first rounders go? Or is it John Robinson on the other side that pretty much says, I'm going to get the best available talent best available talent left, and therefore you make it work? Because the hit and misses of what's happened as of late kind of makes you question, well, who's pulling the strings as far as the draft goes? And that's very loaded, man. I think it's a very loaded question. It's a fair one to ask also.
We've heard.
Very fair.
We've heard a lot, and we've heard in back channels some things about certain guys and certain picks, and we've also heard that one side is the draft and one side is free agency, and that one person makes one set of decisions and one makes the other. It's all speculative because I don't know. But I mean, we've heard differing takes, for example, on Julio. Most of us assume that's a J-Rob call, not a Vrabel call. We felt that way in the moment, and what we had heard after the fact leaned us to believe exactly that.
What was draft night, though? What was the optics of draft night?
And we have heard.
Remember the reaction?
Yeah. The Vrabel reaction was clearly one of, I didn't want this to happen. That's how it came across on the camera.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's clear. It's only clear because of that.
And if you feel like we're kind of walking around it, well, we don't have an answer. And I'm not going. I know you're not willing to jump out there and say, he's picking this and he's doing that. But
we have heard things, but nothing that we confirm enough that we're going to sit here and.
I think all parties wanted A.J. Brown to stay here. It seemed like when Vrabel either realized it was actually going to happen, the reaction of it actually being said, the cameras that were in that room on draft day seemed like he wasn't on board with it. Now, again, John Robinson holds the trump card. He does. He's the one that's commanded to make this organization run, make it work. In almost any situation, any partnership, any relationship, any business deal, there are going to be back and forths. There's going to be disagreements. So it's not to say that this is anything out of the norm. But the question was asked, was it the talent that you're putting too much stock into? Or is it the idea that you have a coach making a decision that says, I'll make it work, and therefore you leaving more on the table by not letting the general manager make these calls? I don't have a clear answer. I'll tell you this. I'll try to dive in and see if I can get something similar. But from my understanding,
guess is they don't want that out there anyway.
Of course not.
But you can say, to the question, here's one thing I do think is fair to mention. J-Rob gets hit for every decision.
Yeah, he does.
He didn't make every decision.
And I don't think
no one does. No general manager makes every decision.
Yeah. Yep.
Not unilaterally, without input, without, you can do this. Because we talked about this is related to Deshaun, right? Stefanski's not innocent in this if it goes south. Stefanski was part of this decision-making. Did ultimately Jimmy Haslam
jump in and say, make it happen?
Even if he didn't, depending on who you believe, all of them were part of the decision-making process.
Yes. Yep.
There's a pie
you can talk about blame or credit, either one.
Right.
There's a pie of it where somebody has more of a percentage on this guy than another guy, but everybody's tied together within the organization. It's not just on one dude that it failed.
There's two ownerships. I think it kind of who's doing it.
Dallas is one.
And when he was alive, the Raiders.
Al Davis.
Al Davis. We heard Al Davis walking into the room, slamming on the table. Go get him. I want that guy. You've heard about these situations happen. I'd say let's go to Irsay in Indianapolis. I think his drive, his want, his will to actually go win, as he said earlier this year, go beat that team down south. I guarantee he gave his GM all the stock he needed to go get Matt Ryan, which they did, inherited his contract, go make all the necessary moves that you need. And the ideal relationship is, who do you like? Who do you like? Now, where are we at in the middle on saying where they fit with our team? I think that is the most productive relationship you can have between head coach and GM when it comes to building a team, because at the end of the day, it's your job to go find the talent. John Robinson, you hired the scouting department. You hired the people to go look at this, but it's on Coach Vrabel to be able to coach those guys up. Is he a culture guy for me? Is he my type of guy? Those were the questions I would think Vrabel will ask. I would say this. I think Treylon Burks is – now that he's settled in, I think he's a Vrabel type of guy. I do. I think he's big. He's fast. He plays hard when available. All of those things lined up. You look at Caleb Farley, though, even last year. The intensity in which he stared into that camera, because he wasn't at the draft. I think he had COVID at the time. You almost got to say to yourself, this is an attitude guy. Free agency-wise. Bud coming in here. What was the one? He's a Vrabel type of guy.
Another Vrabel type of guy for sure is Danico.
There we go. So,
but John Robinson knows what Vrabel's guys are.
Yeah.
So, again, it all works in concert. John Robinson is going to bring in guys that he thinks are going to flourish under Vrabel also. Yeah. Like, John Robinson can't just pick a fantasy team that's not going to fit within the confines of what Tennessee wants to do.
Right.
That's bad. That's bad ownership. That's the Washington football team through the years.
Yeah.
They're going to spend a bunch of money, but does it fit? Does it work? Does it hit the bill properly?
Yeah.
You see that with bad teams. They throw bad money at big names that don't fit either the system or the new coach or the general or any of those.
Yeah.
They don't check off the right boxes except that they're names.
So again, we spoke about what's John Robinson's job here. It ain't just a draft. And if you look back at his time here in Tennessee, it's only gone up, or it's actually been above the line as far as either making the playoffs, winning the AFC South, having a group of coaches that are on the same page that produce. You went from having one of the shakiest defenses in 2020 to one of the best in 2021. That credit goes to Coach Vrabel and John Robinson and their staffs too. So you can't say that you got a 2,000-yard rusher in 2020. Guess what? That goes to John Robinson, Mike Vrabel, and their staff also. It's just the idea of this the answers that's got to be the questions that's got to be answered this next year, going into the draft, Jay, or free agency. Hey, John, I know you have a whole lot of stock in your first rounders because that's where we judge you. But will you take on more free agent signings and give up first rounders? I think that's a fair question. I love to hear his answer also. Like, where does he sit as far as it's been a little different drafting first rounders as of late?
It has, but I also think he's been a gambler, man.
Yeah.
In the first round in particular, going back to Jeff, he took Jeff with the ACL. Then in 2020, he took Isaiah, who there were red flags and some teams didn't have him on their draft board.
But what did they tell you, though? What have we heard in hindsight
that the talent was insane.
That if it was there, gosh, you got a Pro.
But it was boom or bust.
A Pro Bowl right tackle. That don't happen.
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen either.
That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
Farley, you're taking a risk on an injury.
But if the talent hits.
If it hits. But that's always going to be true.
I know.
That's always going to be true in the draft.
But in these situations,
talent hits,
you
great.
picked a super young guy, which is fine, and then you picked an injured guy. So it's always going to be knocks when we look at those two separate situations.
2 of the 3 you picked injured guys.
Yeah.
Before this year.
Yep.
And this year you picked a guy We'll see.
That we didn't know this was going to rise like this.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
didn't
we'll
know.
say.
But we don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. I mean, but you're right. So, a quick transition to the 33rd team. Tiering the NFL's best pass rush duos in 2022. Tier 1, 2 top-flight pass rushers or 1 elite Hall of Fame-worthy pass rusher. In the case of the first 3 on this list, an argument can be made for either player being the best pass rusher on their team. Each of the last 2 teams have an elite pass rusher complemented by another extremely disruptive force. There are 5 in Tier 1.
Wow. 5 in Tier 1 as far as rush duos. Oakland. I mean, hell, why do I keep that as a
We still do it. It happens. It happens. You're
Vegas.
Right. You're right. Yeah.
I go Rams because they got Aaron Donald.
That's right. So Vegas is Max Crosby and Chandler Jones.
Yep.
Rams, Aaron Donald and Floyd.
I go Denver.
Leonard Floyd. Nope.
Denver didn't make the cut.
Nope.
Cleveland.
Nope.
Whoa.
I should say there are 5. Yeah, there are 5. Yeah.
Rush tandems.
The Chargers.
Yeah, I can't forget.
Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa.
Yep. Sure will. Sure
Pittsburgh.
is. TJ.
TJ and Cam.
Okay. So it's not just outside edge.
No.
It's 2.
Correct.
Okay, well, yeah, Cam and
Well, the Rams, Aaron Donald.
Yeah, that's true too.
Dallas.
I just thought, I just thought Aaron Donald because
yeah, whatever. Yeah, because Aaron Donald, you put him there.
He's 1.5.
Dallas is the 5th one.
Dallas is the 5th one.
Micah and DeMarcus
And
Lawrence.
DeMarcus. So we got Cowboys, Raiders, Rams,
Chargers, Rams,
Steelers.
Steelers.
Okay. That's how many of those teams does Titans see this year?
They see
Cowboys,
Rams, I think.
Yep.
Chargers, Raiders, Dallas. They see 4 of the 5. Pittsburgh's the only one they don't see.
Let me make sure they got the Rams on the roster this year.
I think it's right because they won the division, right?
No Rams. It's NFC
No
West.
Rams.
Last
Okay.
year they had NFC West.
Okay.
I think the first place goes to AFC teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tier 2 consists of pass rush duos, at least 1 superstar paired with a great supporting partner. Each star within this tier could easily see a season with 15-plus sacks this coming year, with their counterparts sporting reasonable expectations for double-digit sack totals as well. There are 6 teams within this tier.
Indy.
Nope.
Indy didn't make the list.
They are, I can tell you this, they are Tier 3 with Ngakoue and DeForest Buckner.
Okay, I actually thought they would have put them in 2. Because that tandem ain't bad. Ngakoue and what's his name? DeForest Buckner. Broncos are in this one.
Nope. They're Tier 3 as well with Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory.
Jeez. Baltimore?
No. Baltimore is Tier 4 with Odafe Owe and Calais Campbell.
Yeah. Let's go with Cincy. Trey Hendrickson and one more?
Sam Hubbard. Tier 3.
God, dog. Who's Tier 2? That's Philly?
Philly is Tier 4. Brandon Graham and Hassan Reddick.
I can't tell you the 6 teams that are in that group then, Jay.
You can't. You haven't named one yet.
I haven't named one.
Cleveland is the
Clowney.
first one mentioned with Clowney and Myles Garrett.
Okay. So Miles is the elite
Yes.
with his Robin.
Yes.
Okay.
The Saints, Cam Jordan, Marcus Davenport.
Davenport has been solid. Yes.
San Francisco with Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead.
Eric Armstead's a big D tackle, man.
And Nick Bosa's
Is a
we know what
stud.
Nick
If he can
Bosa
get
is.
that ankle right, man.
Green Bay is in there with Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark.
By the way, number 1 overall prospect coming out of high school, Rashawn Gary. It's crazy watching this actually develop into he's a guy now. Who's their number 2? Rashawn Gary and who?
Kenny Clark.
Yeah, Kenny Clark solid. He's a stud.
Tampa Bay, Shaq Barrett,
and Vita.
and Joe Tryon Shayinka.
Yeah, that's the he's a second-year guy, I think. Yeah, for sure. Remember him last year.
The 6th team is the Tennessee Titans.
Who are Jeff and Harold or Bud?
Harold.
Jeff and Harold. Tier 2. They got a good front.
Yeah.
The front is nice.
Look, this is right. I mean,
Yeah.
putting them in this list, like, they're not in an order. When I first saw this, they weren't put in any particular order, but they're not in alphabetical order either. So I'm like,
well,
I thought they were doing it in some kind of order. If you were looking at it in terms of order, they would have been 10th here.
Yeah.
But they're in Tier 2 is all it is. So they're viewed, those 2 guys in particular are viewed as, you could easily see one of them with 15 sacks this year. Do I think that will happen? Not really, but that's a projection.
Yeah.
Tier 3 it gives you the Bills, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Colts, and the Commanders. Vaughn and Ed Oliver in Buffalo. Trey and Sam Hubbard in Cincy. Bradley Chubb, Randy Gregory in Denver. Ngakoue and DeForest for Indy. Chase Young and Jonathan Allen in Washington.
Their D tackles are very good to me. We'll watch. They got
we
got
know
like
Chase
4
Young.
of them. Yeah, and he's coming off the ACL. Yeah.
And then tier 4, we mentioned Baltimore, Kansas City with Frank Clark and Chris Jones.
I would have thought they would have been
they'd have been
higher.
3. I thought they'd have been with at least
I'd
one tier
almost given
higher.
them 2.
Maybe. I like the 2 of them better than I like Clowney and Garrett together.
I love the 2 of them. Me too.
I love Garrett, but
Yeah.
I still think I'd take Clark and Jones over Clowney.
Because with Chris Jones, you're getting run stop and pass rush. I'm not sure if you're getting run stop with Clowney.
I guess the only thing with Clark is just, is he going to keep his head? Is that part of this?
That's true too.
Because that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Minnesota with Hunter and Zadarius Smith.
Neil Hunter, Zadarius also played Baltimore this offseason.
Yeah, he did. Eagles, Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick, and then the Giants with Leonard Williams and Azeez Ojulari.
Okay.
Out of Georgia.
Azeez Ojulari, I remember him.
And then it's tier 5 and tier 6 and tier 7, which is made up of Atlanta and Seattle.
Number 1 and number 2 overall picks next year?
Very possible.
Okay,
yes.
so what's 5 and 6 then? Let me know.
5, Carolina, Brian Burns and Yetur Gross-Matos.
Okay.
Jacksonville, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker. Miami Dolphins, Jalen Phillips and Emmanuel Ogbah. Robert Quinn and Al-Qadim Muhammad in Chicago. And Judon and Dietrich Wise Jr. in New England. And then tier 6, Detroit, Aiden.
Yep.
And Romeo Okwara.
Uh-huh.
Jonathan Greenard and Jerry Hughes in Houston. The Jets with Quinnen Williams and Carl Lawson, which I thought would have been higher based on how Lawson was perceived, but he's coming off an injury too. And then Arizona with Kennard and Marcus Golden.
I don't know about that team.
Oh, I think they're ripe for a fall.
Oh.
You don't have Nuke for 6 games.
Lost Honey Badger.
You don't have Nuke for 6 games.
Lost Honey Badger. Well, no, they've been.
That was Kansas City.
That was Kansas City. I'm tripping. Well, he wasn't in Arizona. Yeah, no, that's Kansas City.
Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson. He was in Minnesota last year anyway, too. So I'm off on that. What is their secondary?
Right.
Buddha,
yeah.
Buddha
Baker.
Baker. Dang.
I'm not sure about Arizona this year at all.
Last year, if there was, it was their year. You know what I'm saying? As far as making a big splash.
But the important point there again, just being
Titans at tier 2.
Titans at tier 2, yeah.
That's clutch.
So getting decent love right there from again, the reason I pay attention to the 33rd team isn't like individual and like, oh, this guy's gospel. It's the fact that I know these guys are talking to actual GMs and personnel people in the league and probably doing some lifting for them at times.
Mm-hmm.
So I read this saying this is what the league thinks internally about guys, and that's why I give it credence.
Yeah, Titans defense is going to be a headache again.
Correct.
Majority of them being back in that room and getting healthy, going to be a headache.
That was my entire takeaway.
Yeah, buddy.
I remember what Janetti told us yesterday from Spot Track, 4 for 88, more than half guarantee is what he just threw out as spitball as what he thinks is best guess for Jeff. I think it could be higher than that.
It could be. I actually was thinking 25 a year.
Yeah.
Close to it.
Maybe that is a little high, but I think that's where he starts. And then we find out where it lands. But that's what I'd ask for.
That's so freaking awesome right there for Jeff. And he's negotiating on his own. I'd start at 27 and walk down to 25, 24 and a half.
One of the people in chat mentions Chargers. I'm like, yeah, we mentioned them. They were in tier 1 with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. And then his brother Nick in tier 2 with San Francisco.
Khalil needs a little bit of a big year too, though, don't they? Don't you think? Last year
he's kind of fell into obscurity in Chicago because nobody's paying attention to anything there except the quarterback, and head coach, and the GM.
That is Chicago,
That's right. We'll come back. 615-737-1045. Apple TV has landed exclusive rights to the MLS, meaning local TV is gone. Regional networks are gone. We'll tell you what it means and also how some business analysts think it might be a failure for Apple, but a bigger failure for MLS. It's Jay Martin Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. We'll have a message from Inky Johnson, Midweek Motivation, coming up to end the program like we do every single Wednesday as he sent along something for you to hear. MLS, Apple TV, reported $2.5 billion deal over 10 years. Current TV deal expires end of the 2022 season, one with ESPN, Fox, and Univision. They're still trying to figure out how it's going to work with linear. But blackout restrictions and all that will be a thing of the past. The one thing I was kind of shocked by is that Apple TV Plus subscribers still have to pay a separate fee for the MLS on top of that. And honestly, to me, nope.
Nah.
Nope.
How much is it? $2.5 billion over 10 years? That's kind of significantly lower than other TV contracts, though, isn't it? So it's really
it is, and the reason why is because from at least I read this at Huddle Up, which is a very good Substack, a sports business related one. MLS currently averaging less than 300,000 per game. In terms of ratings. He writes, the author of this piece, my guess is Commissioner Don Garber, MLS execs, were unable to find a linear TV partner willing to pay a $300 million annual fee that they've been publicly floating around for months. They have a $90 million annual contract now, so this is a better deal for them. This is Apple trying to get into sports any way that they can because they have stupid amount of money that they can do this with. What's it going to mean going forward in terms of all that? We don't know. We do know this is kind of amazing about MLS. Cincinnati and Nashville paid $150 million each. Expansion deals, right? St. Louis and SAC paid $200 million. Charlotte paid $350 million in expansion fees. Expansion fees distributed through the league. So what Huddle Up is saying is they artificially inflated their annual revenue and their valuations. Forbes says 23 teams that played in MLS during 2018 combined for $100 million in losses. Even worse, only 7 of those teams turned a profit. Of those 7, only 3 of them made $1 million.
What?
So while Major League Soccer clubs reported total revenue of nearly $800 million in 2018, they brought in more than half of that from expansion fees alone in 2019. Once you remember, MLS clubs currently receive a 12x revenue multiple because of future growth prospects. Individual team valuations start to look slightly overvalued. So there's interesting financials surrounding MLS, but nobody was watching it on cable. And so they're trying something different. Now, one thing you've seen is local, like, for example, Nashville SC can produce its own local TV pregame, postgame, halftime stuff that will run on Apple TV as part of the streaming service after their national stuff that they're going to be running at the same time. It's interesting. I'll be curious to follow it. But you actually having to – so if you have Apple TV Plus, you get a select number of games for free. But to have access to everything, you have to pay for it.
That's the one thing that the streaming is kind of doing to everybody. It's almost going to me, it would turn me off. If I was a big-time soccer fan, maybe I feel a little bit different. But just as a general watcher of it, consumer of it, I'm be like, I'm not downloading this right here. I'll follow it on my phone, whatever the case may be, or I go to the stadium. You know, I'd rather go there than actually have a monthly subscription coming out. That's one thing about the apps. Like, there's an app for everything. It really is. But sometimes it can be a bit overload when it comes down to that, man.
MLS president saying, quote, in this agreement, there won't be local broadcasts of MLS matches. We will have a pregame show, halftime show, and postgame show for every one of our matches on the streaming service. Each club will have the ability to create local content shows within their market. One of the things that it says is you can mute the television announcers and listen to local radio announcers through the streaming service. So like Nashville SC broadcasts, if you want to hear the local broadcasters, you can hear them on the TV broadcasts. But the broadcasts are going to be different surrounding all of that. So there are some people that aren't thrilled with this. in terms of viewers, but we got to see what it actually shakes out to be. It's definitely where we're going. Streaming in sports is not going anywhere. It's just going to continue to get larger and larger.
Maybe Apple getting in at this price right now is seeing the growth. Or I don't know. They're on the floor of it right now. That's for sure. As far as the money that they're paying out.
They want to create some level of, we've done this before. So when it comes to even bigger sports, they're able to actually have worked out some kinks probably as well. So there's that. If you need motivation before you walk outside into the heat, or if you just walked indoors, here it is. Inky Johnson with a Midweek Motivation. We'll see you tomorrow.
If a person goes through something that's traumatic, the average person's perspective is going to go to a space and place. What did you lose? How did it affect you? What did you have to sacrifice? What did you have to give up? People very rarely will ask the question, what did you learn from it?
What did you gain?
What did you gain?
Ooh.
How did it make you a better person? I know it didn't feel good. That's obvious. I know it hurt, right? I know you didn't like it. It wasn't convenient. But like, what did you gain from it? I just want to know. I think the beautiful thing about adversity and opposition, when you live with it, it teaches you. If you're open to it. When you live with challenges, it teaches you. The reason that I wouldn't change what happened to me or go back and even change the incident is because of not only the man that has shaped and molded me into, but the way it's impacted those close to me.